Chapter 1050. After everything was settled, Long Jie dressed herself up at home. Apart from Lu Che, she had no one else to rely on at the Lu family home. But so what if she had a wealthy family and a powerful background? Without her husband's love, all of this was useless and meaningless. So, all she needed was Lu Che, and that was enough. Standing in front of the mirror, Long Jie was dressed in a long black dress. Although she didn't have a perfect figure like Tongning, her presence was like that of a queen. After following Tongning for so many years, she had already become a rich woman. So when it came to dressing up, she didn't treat herself too harshly. After all, when she was going out with Tongning, she had to match her status. After coaxing his daughter to sleep, Lu Che hugged Long Jie from behind. At this moment, he was dressed in his usual black suit and pants. There wasn't much difference. After all, he had been with Mo Ting for so many years and had developed a professional habit. Is our daughter asleep? Yes, after we leave, our neighbor, Auntie Chiu, will come over and help us take care of her. Don't worry, Lu Che whispered into Long Jie's ear. In that case, I'm ready. Let's go. Wait, Lu Che said as he pulled out a box from his pocket and opened it in front of Long Jie. Inside was a neatly placed diamond ring in the shape of a crown. Long Jie was a little surprised. This is... After being married for so long, I don't think I've bought you much. Lu Che removed the ring from the box and gently slid it onto Long Jie's finger. Tonight, you may hear a few rumors. But don't be afraid, I'm here. I've already prepared myself to face the Lu family. Do you think I'm a pushover? Long Jie replied. She knew that Lu Che had suffered the most from the beginning. He had been stuck between his wife and mother, and had been forced to make all sorts of choices. Didn't her heart ache? Lu Che nodded his head, placed Long Jie's hand in the crook of his arm and headed towards the battlefield. However, over the past few days, because of Long Jie's frequent appearances on the entertainment news, Mother Lu felt a little embarrassed in front of her friends and family. Although, from the beginning, she had tried her best to act like a lady from a wealthy family, and did not look down on Long Jie's background and occupation. After all, her own son was also in the same industry. So she tried her best to accept Long Jie as she didn't understand her and didn't interfere. But now that friends and family were discussing Long Jie in private, and she had always been biased against Long Jie, everyone talking about Long Jie was especially irritating to her. Luckily, she had a grandson to comfort her. After all, the birth of the child couldn't be revealed in public. So Mother Lu told her friends and family that Lu Che's ex-girlfriend gave birth to the child. Lu's relatives weren't stupid, right? Lu Che and Long Jie had been married for so long, yet their child was only 100 days old. Wasn't this indirectly implying that Lu Che cheated on his wife and was a jerk? Lu Che and Long Jie had been married for so long, yet their child was only 100 days old. Didn't they indirectly say that Lu Che cheated on his wife and was a jerk? After Father Lu heard this, he was furious as he dragged Mother Lu into the waiting room. I've never seen a mother like you. Lu Che has always been clean. Why are you making him sound so bad? I told you a long time ago that it doesn't matter if Lu Che and Xiaoman have a second child, or if they have a son. But you insisted on forcing it. Now that the child has been born, everyone is avoiding it and trying to cover it up. Yet, you even held a 100 days celebration for your child. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Mother Lu humphed and retorted. Back then, when I asked Lu Che to have a son, you didn't stand on my side. Later, when I asked Lu Che to break up with that woman, you didn't stand on my side either. Now that we have a child, I want to give my grandson a proper identity. Yet, you still don't stand on my side. Whose husband are you? After hearing this, Father Lu held his forehead in his hand. I can't even communicate with you. I already have a grandson, so of course I have to give him a proper name. I can't let him act like a mouse and be talked about by others. I naturally have to give him a proper identity. As for Che, I will only say that it was that bitch who stole his love and forced Che, to break up with his ex-girlfriend to marry her. Father Lu froze for a moment. He couldn't understand why a perfectly fine family would end up like this. Do whatever you want. I can't do anything about it. After speaking, Father Lu stormed out of the waiting room, leaving Mother Lu to sneer. Why are you pretending to be serious? You're obviously happy to have a grandson. Afterwards, Mother Lu tidied up a little before she left the waiting room and continued to mingle with the guests. Wuxia never imagined that his own mother would ruin his image in such a way. Although he appeared nonchalant on the surface, Wuxia knew how it felt to be hurt by the person closest to him. That night, the Lu family home was decorated luxuriously. Although they did not invite outsiders and only invited members of the Lu family to the banquet, such a large family, there were at least a few dozen people present. On top of that, they were here to watch a good show. When all of them gathered together, it was quite a scary scene. Father Lu was the third oldest child in the family. He had 2 older brothers above him. However, Wuxia rarely mentioned his uncles because he rarely interacted with them, and he didn't like them. So he didn't allow Wuxia to have any proper contact with the relatives. But little did he know, this would cause Wuxia some trouble. Because when Mother Lu's relatives questioned her, she ended up ruining Wuxia's image. Plus, Wuxia was from the entertainment industry, and she had been in the news recently. As a result, the Lu family's impression of her worsened. They all thought that Wuxia must have lost his mind to have married an actress like her. At this moment, Wuxia and Wuxia's car was on the way. Your relatives are all here. But after we registered our marriage, I don't think we've officially met them. The couple got married in a low-key manner without holding a grand wedding. Afterwards, because of the child, they were tormented for a long time before they finally gave birth to a daughter. Perhaps, even Wuxia didn't know that when he first told Mother Lu that he wanted Ding Ke, it was the fuse that ignited everything. So they did not formally introduce their daughter-in-law to their relatives. Afterwards, when Wuxia gave birth to a daughter, Mother Lu's dissatisfaction towards Wuxia intensified. Chapter 1051. Wuxia thought for a moment before replying. It's because I've never considered these people important. As you know, when it comes to unrelated people, I don't interact much with them and I don't want to waste my time on them. So, I don't want to cause you any awkwardness or trouble. It's not because I don't want to introduce you to them. I understand. Wuxia nodded. This was in line with Wuxia's personality. He didn't like unnecessary pleasantries. In a moment, if we come across wolves or tigers, you need to protect me. Wuxia smiled as he placed Wuxia's head on his shoulder. Because what was about to happen was a terrifying battlefield. With this premise and background, tonight's 100 days celebration was going to be spectacular and entertaining. However, up until now, the child that Mother Lu was talking about was still asleep and had not been carried out. Meanwhile, the 2 main characters, Wuxia and Wuxia, had not arrived yet. Some people also noticed, where was the child's mother? As Wuxia's ex-girlfriend, was she also at the Lu family home? With a series of questions, the relatives and friends were extremely passionate because there was going to be a good show to watch. Papa Lu did not want to be a part of the conversation at all. After all, everyone was sucking the blood of his loved ones. "Oh, Auntie, why isn't Wuxia home yet? We can't wait." "Exactly. Do you guys think he's coming home alone? Or is he coming home with 2 people? If he's coming home with 2 people, then the scene is going to be spectacular. If Wuxia was smart, he wouldn't have brought Wuxia home. It was obvious that he wasn't coming home to be looked down upon. If that woman was smart, she wouldn't have made an appearance either. With so many eyes on her, how could she not feel uncomfortable? But everyone was wrong. Especially when Wuxia's car drove into the Lu family home. As soon as everyone saw Wuxia step out of the car and walk around the front of the car to open the door for Wuxia, some people sighed that this woman wasn't smart enough, while others were excited and couldn't wait to watch the show. As soon as Wuxia stepped out of the car, she felt everyone's sharp gazes. They were like X-rays that wanted to pierce through her body. It was obvious that Mother Lu had done a lot of research for these people. Of course, this was all within her expectations. If she was afraid, she wouldn't be Wuxia's wife and Tongning's assistant. Wuxia obviously understood what these so-called friends and family were thinking. So he asked Wuxia to hold on to his arm as the 2 of them approached without a trace of fear. "Why are you all standing at the door? To welcome us?" Mother Lu glanced at Wuxia. He actually brought this woman with him, so she let out a cold humph. "Wuxia, that's not very nice of you. Back when you registered your marriage, you didn't even tell everyone. Now that you have 2 children, shouldn't you introduce them to everyone? A cousin looked at Long Man and raised an eyebrow. Luce, that's not very nice of you. This is Long Man, my wife, Luce said with a handsome smile as he pointed to Long Jie. Long Jie wasn't afraid as she nodded her head at everyone. Hello uncles, elders, brothers and sisters. TSK, who's your sister? Someone muttered behind her. In reality, everyone could hear them laughing on the inside. But Long Jie didn't care. Okay, since Luce's back, let's start the banquet. When the auspicious time arrives, I will carry your son out. As Mother Lu spoke, she looked at Long Jie with a provocative smile. It seemed, she was trying to tell Long Jie that if she didn't want to give birth to the Lu family, someone else would. But Long Jie simply responded with a look that said, whoever wanted to give birth could go ahead. I'm not a tool for the Lu family. Everyone else either looked at Mother Lu sympathetically or ridiculed her. Some simply wanted to watch the show. Luce and Long Jie looked at each other without a word as they sat down with their friends and relatives. Of course, while they were waiting for the auspicious time, someone couldn't help but ask Long Jie a question. It was the daughter of one of the uncles. She placed her head on the table and pretended to be nosy as she tried to get closer to Long Jie. Sister-in-law, I've been seeing you on the news a lot lately. You and Tongning are so close. How did Tongning become Joan's disciple? Why don't you tell us about it? After hearing this, Long Jie was about to respond, but the mother of the girl stopped her. What's there to gossip about an entertainer? Aren't the magazines out there enough for you to read? The girl responded with an, oh, and did not ask any more questions. The atmosphere turned awkward. At this time, another elder spoke up. Since this is a family gathering, let's not talk about outside matters. But Luce, you've done something wrong. You've been married for so long, yet we've never met your wife. You should reflect on this. It doesn't matter if she's just playing around. Is that why you didn't bring her home? She is, after all, an entertainer. Perhaps she's not that important to second brother. The last 2 sentences were whispered between the 2 aunties, but Luce and Long Jie still heard them. This was a trap, so the 2 were prepared to fight back. As a result, Luce smiled and replied, it's not that Xiaoman isn't important to me. It's that I don't think there's anything to introduce to family members that I don't interact with. What do you think? In other words, the 2 of them had placed themselves in the wrong position. Why did they have to think so highly of themselves? The faces of the 2 aunties immediately turned red. After all, Luce had slapped them in the face, so of course they didn't look good. Luce, no matter what, we are still your family. Does second auntie think that the 2 of you share the same bed as me and my wife? Luce asked with a smile. That. Che, how can you speak to your elders like this? Mother Lu raised her authority as a parent and lectured Luce. You're already the father of 2 children. How can you not know your limits? By the way, where's your daughter? Why didn't you bring her here? In other words, did he also think that his daughter wasn't important? For the same reason, our baby's sleep is more important. Wouldn't it make her unhappy if we brought her here to meet a bunch of strangers? Luce, no matter what, we are still your family. Are you saying that we'd hurt you? Auntie Tu continued to speak to Luce. Don't be confused and hurt your own family for the sake of outsiders. I'm well aware of who's an outsider and who's family. You. Chapter 1052. That's enough. Auntie, since you're here to watch a show, why don't you just sit back and watch? If you can't sit back, why don't I expose you to the public and let you scold them? That way, you can shut your mouth. Luce ridiculed coldly. No matter what, the Lu family's second auntie was from a prestigious family. How could she feel after being ridiculed by Luce? She had never been wronged in her entire life. Luce, I am your elder. Are you not happy that I said a few words to you? Then, why didn't you say that you were two-timing her? In my opinion, you and your wife don't really deserve each other. After all, you are indeed birds of a feather and a match made in heaven. That's enough, shut up. Luce's second uncle couldn't stand to see his wife embarrass herself, so he yelled, don't lower yourself to the same level as the younger generation. How dare you criticize others? Be quiet. Of course, on the surface, his words sounded like he was trying to stop the drama from continuing. But Lu Che and Long Jie were well aware that the words of these relatives were full of hidden meanings. So after a moment of silence, Long Jie couldn't help but speak up. I know that everyone here thinks that I have a low status and work in the entertainment industry, so it's normal for you to look down on me. But from what I see, even though all of you come from a prestigious background, you don't seem to be very cultured. A cultured person, even if they look down on someone, wouldn't make things difficult for them and wouldn't mock them. But look at everyone here. In comparison, your manners don't seem to match up to your status. Although I came from a humble background, I don't feel inferior because of this. Firstly, this is the 21st century. I can earn my own living and not rely on others. I'm not like those pretentious rich second generations that spend their days idling around. Even though they enjoy gossiping, they still think they're better than others. Secondly, society is open and free to marry. Lu Che and I are truly in love, and we don't want to hurt others. As for others, they don't have the right to criticize our lives. Thirdly, you have the mentality of a commoner watching a show, but you have to pretend to be noble. You obviously like to watch a show, but you have to say that others are not good enough. This is probably the legendary hypocrisy, right? Stop spouting nonsense. Don't think that everyone doesn't know what kind of trash you are. Lu Che's second auntie had a bad temper and couldn't stand being provoked. So as soon as Long Jie spoke, she slammed her hands on the table and stood up. What kind of trash am I? Long Jie asked with a smile. You really are an actor. How shameless. Long Jie originally wanted to say something, but Lu Che stopped her. Under the table, he held on to Long Jie's hands, gesturing for her not to say anything and to let him handle it. I suggest that we don't talk during the entire banquet, lest everyone feels awkward. In any case, we won't be seeing each other in the future, so why make the atmosphere so stiff? Lu Che. It'd be best if it's second auntie. Don't say anything. Otherwise, in the future, if your daughter gets pregnant and you need me to help you with some news, I may not be so convenient. The threat in Lu Che's words was extremely obvious. Of course, this also made his second auntie immediately shut her mouth. By the way, little cousin, since you like asking your sister-in-law questions so much, you should first sort out your relationship with your two boyfriends. As for the other things that can't be brought up in public, I won't talk about them. Since you all know what I do for a living, you should know that I get hold of information very quickly. If I want revenge, none of you can escape. Should we continue? Everyone fell silent. Very well. At this time, Long Jie tilted her head and whispered into Lu Che's ear. How did you know about these things? Of course, I came prepared. As soon as Mother Lu invited him to attend her son's 100 days celebration, he had already secretly investigated them. Otherwise, it would have been extremely difficult to shut them up. At this moment, no one said a word. However, the anger in their hearts grew stronger, but there was nothing they could do about Lu Che. All they could do was place their hopes on Mother Lu. Okay, it's almost the auspicious time. I'll go carry the little rascal out. Mother Lu said as she looked at her watch and stood up from her seat. This must be the first time you've seen your son, right? Watch closely in a moment. This was the main event. But Lu Che did not panic. In fact, his expression did not change at all. Even Long Jie tried her best to hold back her laughter. These relatives of yours sure are hard to please. Shouldn't people from a wealthy family know how to put on a good front? That's for outsiders. Which wealthy family doesn't have a few spoiled relatives? Lu Che replied. That was true. Everyone knew that in a situation like this, it was best not to speak if possible. Only the stupid ones would explode like a firecracker. Soon, Mother Lu walked out of the bedroom with the child in her arms. In reality, she had already arranged for the child's mother to take care of the child at home. Since she needed to find a nanny, she might as well bring the child home. This was a violation of the contract. But for the sake of her grandson's health, she felt that the best and most convenient way was to use the mother's breast milk. Lu Che, come and see your son. Mother Lu excitedly carried the child as she ran over to Lu Che's side. The rest of the family quickly surrounded the child and began to tease him. He's so cute. He's so cute. He looks so much like Wuxia. Hearing this, Long Jie almost burst out in laughter. But Wuxia simply turned around and glared at her. Of course, it wasn't because he was surprised, but because he was trying to remind her not to go overboard. Wuxia, come and see, this is your son. He looks so much like you. What do you mean? Wuxia teased. Can you describe it in detail? As soon as everyone heard this, they thought Wuxia was happy, so they immediately replied. His eyebrows are the most similar and so is his mouth shape. Wuxia, what's wrong with you? Why are you still sitting? Hurry and see your son. Mother Lu urged. Mother Lu urged. She assumed that as soon as Wuxia saw the child, he would be attracted to it and wouldn't waste any more time on Long Jie. But Wuxia remained motionless. Wuxia. Since this is the main event, I will officially tell you that I, Wuxia, only have a daughter. I don't have a son. Wuxia replied. Wuxia, are you crazy? Your son is so important. Yet you refuse to acknowledge him? Do you know how gloomy it is for a child to grow up without a father? Chapter 1053. So, Wuxia asked. You move back in and take care of your son. That's right, Wuxia. Since he's your child, you can't just attend to him. Plus, you're in the wrong. You're already married, yet you let your ex-girlfriend give birth to your child. I think you shouldn't be so heartless. Wuxia's friends and relatives began to kindly offer advice. However, Wuxia calmly looked at everyone and smiled. Who told you I let my ex-girlfriend give birth to my child? His friends and relatives all looked at Mother Lu in unison. How could your mother lie? That's right. This is what your mother told us. How could it be false? I'm sorry, but she really did lie, Wuxia replied. It seems that none of you know where this child came from. Fine then, since that's the case, I'll explain everything to you. Ever since Xiao Man gave birth to our daughter, this great mother of hers has been urging Xiao Man to give birth to another son. But at the time, Xiao Man had just given birth and was in the middle of her confinement period. Yet, she expressed her dissatisfaction towards Xiao Man giving birth to a daughter, and demanded Xiao Man to give her a grandson? Our lives are ours. Whether or not a child is up to Xiao Man. If you were in her shoes, how would you feel if you were forced to give birth to another son right after giving birth to a daughter? Xiao Man and I didn't agree, so she came to our door and made a scene, causing our relationship to fall into an impasse. What's worse, because we didn't agree, she said that as long as I did a test tube test, she wouldn't interfere with our lives anymore. That's where the child came from. Now, are you clear? I don't have an ex-girlfriend, I only have Xiao Man. How could she slander her own son? Mrs. Lu, you've really impressed me. Wuxia did not give Mother Lu any face as he revealed the whole story in front of everyone. After hearing Wuxia's explanation, the Lu family looked at each other and Mother Lu. This? Even if I asked you to do this, even if I asked you to kneel and kowtow to me, even if I asked you to divorce that woman, that was my right. Who asked me to be your mother? Mother Lu was obviously triggered by Wuxia's words. After all, in her heart, as her son, Wuxia had the responsibility to cover up her scandals. Now that the battle had spread to the mother and son, the Lu family could only watch helplessly. They knew exactly who was in the right and who was in the wrong. Everything I've done today was forced by you and that woman. Let's see how righteous a mother who had forced her son's private life to the extreme was. Furthermore, your son has already been born. Even if you want to force me, that is an unchangeable fact. Back then, we had an agreement. As long as the child is born, you will no longer interfere with my life. So I will not take care of this child, nor will I acknowledge it. As for moving back, don't even think about it. Wuxia, we did sign an agreement. But as your mother, if I want to go back on my word, you can't do anything to me. Wuxia, we did sign an agreement. But as your mother, if I want to go back on my word, you can't do anything to me. That's why you must listen to me. Mama Lu's dominance shocked all the guests of the Lu family. After all, she had perfectly demonstrated what it meant to control her son. So at this moment, they were completely speechless. What if I don't listen? Wuxia asked. Then just wait for me to expose you. Since you don't want your son, I don't want mine either. Since things had gotten to this point and the atmosphere was so tense, Lu Che was probably going to compromise, wasn't he? After all, how could an arm win against a leg? But Lu Che continued to smile. However, this smile contained a hint of mockery. Are you threatening me? Mrs. Lu, do you really think you can win against me? You didn't want your son a long time ago. Did you just start now? Sure, let's fight to the death. If you expose me, then I'll expose my uncle's private matters and give them a big page. What do you think? After hearing Lu Che's words, Mother Lu looked at him in shock. What do you know? I warned you from the start that my information network is enough to dig 3 feet into your ancestors' graves. If you want to fight me head-on, I welcome you at any time. Lu Che replied. We can give up on our family ties. After all, that's what you plan to do. Everyone present could sense how serious Lu Che's words were. His determination to die together made everyone subconsciously take a few steps back. At this time, only his wife, Long Jie, knew how much agitation and pressure he was under for him to say something like this. How much despair did he feel towards his birth mother? There were plenty of people in this world that were cruel enough to eat their own children. This wasn't something that was written in novels. Reality was a lot more bloody than fiction. The mother and son continued to stare at each other. Neither side was willing to admit defeat, because both sides had shown their attitude, and neither side was willing to give in. You heartless and unscrupulous thing. How could you abandon your mother and son? You're worse than an animal. Faced with Mother Lu's curses, Lu Che did not admit defeat. Was there any love left between the mother and son? Even Father Lu felt a chill down his spine after hearing the conversation between the mother and son. He never imagined that 2 blood-related people could attack each other to such an extent. Perhaps because of the tense atmosphere, the child who was originally in Mama Lu's arms suddenly burst into tears, and Mama Lu's attention was also diverted. Good baby, don't cry. Grandma loves you. At this time, Long Jie did not want Lu Che and Mother Lu to continue arguing. She knew it would only cause Lu Che more pain. So she pinched the back of Lu Che's hand and said softly, let's go home. Go. Mother Lu humphed when she heard this soft word. Someone in this family should indeed leave. You've caused a mother and son to turn against each other, so you should leave. Perhaps because Mother Lu was venting her anger on Long Jie, Lu Che couldn't control himself anymore. Mother Lu treated him well, but he couldn't stand her attacking Long Jie. You've always been the one that made us turn against each other, as well as all of you who were just here to watch the show. Chapter 1054. Don't push me too far. Otherwise, I'll see you in the papers. In that instant, the atmosphere was so tense that it was suffocating. Mama Lu burst into tears. Are you trying to force me to my death? Lu Che suddenly laughed when he heard the threat. Since you think I'm forcing you, I'll do it again. The child in your arms that you kissed and hugged over and over again isn't your biological grandson at all. Because at the hospital, I used someone else's body as a replacement, so I don't have a so-called son at all. Mama Lu laughed when she heard Lu Che's words. I know you don't want to acknowledge this child. So, I won't believe anything you say. Now that your son is born, I know that woman won't accept it. But this child will grow up sooner or later. How can you not acknowledge him after a few decades? I don't believe it. That's right, Lu Che. The child looks so much like you. No one will believe you if you say he's not your child. At that moment, the Lu family began to speak up for Mama Lu. That's right, Brother Lu. No matter what you adults do, it has nothing to do with the child. It's too pitiful that no one cares about him. Moreover, although Aunt Lu's methods were a little extreme, she did it for your own good. Since I dared to come today, I'm prepared for anything. Since I've decided to fall out with you today, I have nothing to worry about. Mrs. Lu, I just hope that your heart is strong enough. Then Lu Che took out the DNA report that he had done with the child from his pocket and placed it on the table. Take a good look and see if we are related by blood. Mama Lu glanced at the report and frowned at Lu Che. Did you set me up? You set me up first. Lu Che pointed at the report and replied seriously. But you probably think that I'm going to fake this report. Don't worry, the child's biological father will be here soon. Plus, this is something that can be easily found out at the hospital. Why would I do something unnecessary? After hearing Lu Che's words, Mama Lu suddenly lost her footing. But she subconsciously hugged the child even tighter. Since this child was prepared by you and you've taken care of the pregnant woman for 10 months, I have no objections if you want to continue raising him. It's a boy anyway, you can treat him as your own grandson. At this point, Lu Che raised his brows and sneered at everyone. So which part of this child resembles me? Lu Che. You asked for it. Lu Che replied coldly. It was your repeated coercion that led to the current situation. It was your overbearing attitude that caused us to break off our relationship. Mama Lu was shaking with anger, but she couldn't say a word. She could only twitch, her eyes red. Lu Che, is she your mother? Shut up if you're making sarcastic remarks. At that moment, the atmosphere in the dining room was stiff to the extreme. However, that was when the butler brought the guest into the living room and told Mama Lu, "Madam, this gentleman said he's young master's, so I brought him in." This was a well-built man with a strong build. He looked quite elegant as he approached Lu Che and asked, "Didn't you say that I should pick up the child?" "The child is over there," Lu Che said, pointing at the child in Mama Lu's hands with his chin. However, Madame Lu insists that he is her own grandson and can't accept anything else. Seriously, are you asking me to pick up the child or to prove his identity? Both. The man rolled his eyes helplessly. Then he pulled out another DNA test report and walked up to Mama Lu. "I'm sorry, Auntie Lu, but the child in your hands is indeed my son. It's not Lu Che's. Please take a closer look at this child. Isn't he the same as me? Are you two playing with me?" Mama Lu looked at the child in her arms. She was clearly on the verge of breaking down. "That's impossible. I've taken good care of him for 10 months, and you're telling me that he's not my grandson." Seeing that she was in a daze, the man strode forward and snatched the child from her hands. "You can't blame Lu Che for treating you like this. You should take a look at yourself and see what you've done to hurt your own son. I've never seen a mother like you. Since I've picked up the child, I'm sorry, but I can't get involved in your family matters. I'll be leaving with the child now." Mama Lu wanted to snatch the child back when she saw it being snatched away, but the man quickly left the Lu family home with the child in his arms. After all, judging from her expression, what if the child's safety was threatened? Back at the hospital, he had already discussed with Lu Che that Lu Che would inform him to pick up the child after it was born. Suddenly, her arms were empty. A year's worth of hard work had been used to raise someone else's child. Mama Lu had completely lost it. "Lu Che, you're an animal. You have no right to judge me based on what you've done. You can't do anything to me." After saying this, Lu Che turned to look at the pale-faced Father Lu. "I'm sorry, Dad." Father Lu waved his hand. His entire body felt like it had been hollowed out as he looked exhausted. "You guys can leave. Don't come back. Go live your own life." "Lu Che, you're so ruthless." "This is ruthless? Let me tell you something even more ruthless. Xiao Man is pregnant again. The doctor said it might be a boy this time. But, after the child is born, I will tell him how his grandmother forced his parents. I will make sure your grandson hates you for the rest of his life." After speaking, Lu Che turned around to leave with Long Jia. But Mother Lu chased after them. "Lu Che, don't go. Don't go. Long Man, I want a grandson. I was wrong. Come back." At this moment, the word mother no longer existed in Lu Che's heart. So no matter what Mother Lu said, he pretended not to hear as he turned around and left with Long Jia. Behind them, Mother Lu cried out in pain. But Lu Che did not turn around. Meanwhile, the Lu family's relatives swore to themselves that no matter what happened from now on, they would never offend Lu Che. If his own mother was treated in such a way, then what about others? As a result, Lu Che had completely cut off all ties with the Lu family. Long Jia saw everything. At this moment, apart from heartache, there was nothing else. Because at this moment, no amount of consolation was enough to make Lu Che feel empty and powerless. Chapter 1055. After all, What else in this world could be more heart-wrenching than being hurt by one's own mother? So Longjie did not say a word on the way home. It was only after they arrived home that she hugged Lu Che and comforted him. It's all in the past. Lu Che did not move as he allowed Longjie to hug him. But it didn't take long before he began to sob in her arms. Everyone's heart was made of flesh, so how could he not be in pain when his own mother poked a hole in his flesh? Meanwhile, Longjie was filled with regret. If she had known that Lu Che would have to pay such a huge price for their happiness, she would not have argued with Mother Lu so much. Cry. Have a good cry. When you wake up tomorrow, everything will be better. In reality, after Lu Che left, a lot of things happened in the Lu family home. Especially when his relatives and friends were discussing how to help Mother Lu. Father Lu finally lost his temper. This is a private matter. If you're done watching the show, you can leave. My son has already said that if you don't control your mouths, he will stay with you until the end and sever his relationship with you. You should be satisfied. Third uncle. Get lost. Father Lu's roar echoed throughout the Lu family home because he had reached the limit of his patience. After everyone was dumbfounded, Father Lu stood up from his seat and said calmly to Mother Lu, I finally understand. You want to control your son. That's why you're doing all this. You're not doing this for the good of this family. Tomorrow, come with me to the Civil Affairs office. It's time for us to settle our matters and get a divorce. As soon as Father Lu said this, everyone was shocked, especially Mother Lu. What did you say? I said, get a divorce. I can't live with you anymore. After speaking, Father Lu walked out of the room, putting an end to the farce. After all, if he had controlled his wife properly, this wouldn't have happened. But it was too late to say anything now. He was tired. All that was left was Mother Lu. All she could do was sit on the floor and sob. She couldn't understand why her son and husband treated her like this. What did she do wrong? The Lu family's relatives left. After all, they didn't want to offend Lu Che. So Mother Lu was suddenly the only one left in the lively courtyard. And the darkness would gradually devour her. That night, no one had a good time. Lu Che hadn't had a single drop of water since he got home. He had stayed in his study for a long time. There was nothing Longjie could do. All she could do was take good care of her daughter as she sat in the nursery and sighed. He could only hope that time could heal the pain in everyone's heart. The next day, Lu Che returned to normal and behaved no different than usual. As for Longjie, she ignored everything that happened the night before and moved on. After Lu Che left for work, he returned to Tongning's side. However, from the moment she stepped into Hyatt Regency, she had been in a daze. So Tongning couldn't help but notice her condition. What happened between you and Lu Che last night? Did it cause you to be distracted at all times today? Since the incident was already in the past, Longjie decided to tell Tongning everything that had happened at the Lu family home like it was a bitter river. After all, Lu Che has cut off all ties with his parents. What's done is done. No matter how much you think about it, it's useless, Tongning comforted. I know, but I really don't want Lu Che to suffer like this, Longjie said as her eyes turned red. Actually, this incident isn't completely irreparable. My Longjie may be careless, but she's not an idiot, am I right? Longjie looked at Tongning helplessly. What should I do? After listening to your story, I feel that Lu Che's father is quite rational. You can try to help Lu Che, but he may not be willing to see me. That's where you need to work hard. Longjie, you need to remember, family is the most special of all relationships. It's true that you are related by blood, but there are some people that act recklessly because they are related by blood. Outsiders may know when to stop, but family may not. It doesn't matter if you argue or snatch. You need to be careful when dealing with relationships like this. Because the people that you can actually hurt are the people that are stuck in the middle because they care. But there's one good thing about family. There's no overnight grudge. Even if you end up fighting, you can quickly make up. Which family doesn't have their own problems? I'll give you a little more time to deal with this matter. Otherwise, when you come to work, you'll end up being distracted. Longjie nodded her head. This was a knot in her heart. Plus, seeing Lu Che in pain made her feel even worse. But to her surprise, by the time she found Father Lu, He and Mother Lu had already obtained their divorce certificate. Long Jie felt that appearing in front of Father Lu at a time like this was asking for a beating. But Father Lu did not blame her. The couple found a cafe and sat down peacefully. Dad. I know what you want to say. This decision was made by me. It had nothing to do with the two of you. Is Chair okay? Long Jie shook her head. After returning home last night, she cried and locked herself in the study room. She hasn't come out for a while. No one wants to see things turn out like this. But I have to take more responsibility. If I had noticed from the start that she had become so narrow-minded, I would have corrected her earlier and things wouldn't have gotten to this point. But it really has nothing to do with you. This is a matter between us. From now on, you and Lu Che should live a good life. Don't mind what others say. But you, knowing that Long Jie was genuinely worried, Father Lu smiled. We've already lived for so long. Can't we take care of ourselves? I'm already at the age of retirement. All I need to do is plant and grow flowers at home. Perhaps this will be the end of my life. If you still acknowledge me as your father, then bring your granddaughter home to see me. I don't have any other wishes. Yes, of course I do. Afterwards, Father Lu and Lu Che got on the phone and honestly explained the situation. Of course, there were some things that they couldn't turn back from. Dad, take good care of yourself. When you're ready, you can move in with us. That way, you can get closer to your granddaughter. Things have already gotten to this point. I still need some time to calm down. That's all. Chapter 1056. Father Lu temporarily rejected Lu Che's invitation. But no matter what, Lu Che felt a lot better. As for some women, once their relationship was broken, it was over. The only reason why Lu Che wasn't worried was because that woman had her own family backing her up. But just as Lu Che was about to hang up the phone, Father Lu suddenly held him back. Xiao Man came to look for me. It seems she really cares about your feelings. She knows that you're not doing well, so she didn't retreat even though she risked being scolded by me. She's currently pregnant, so you need to take good care of her. Okay, Dad. Regardless of what happened, Lu Che finally felt relieved. As for Long Jie, he was going to cherish her. However, he had no idea that after their divorce, Mother Lu once visited Hai Rui and watched as Lu Che entered and left the building. But she did not approach him. Not only had she lost her son, but her husband had also left her. After hearing that Long Jie had resolved the matter with the Lu family, Tongning felt a lot more relieved. Afterwards, she invited Zihao to Hyatt Regency to watch a movie. There were still some areas that needed adjusting, but Zihao shrugged his shoulders. Although I can't believe it, the special effects are indeed well done. You've trained a strong team. Although the main storyline was a little weak, President Mo and Coco's acting made up for this weakness. Coupled with the exciting sound effects, the entire film was filled to the brim. Although my post-production wasn't as good as Chiao Sen's, I must say that you did an outstanding job with the Ant Queen. If you're praising someone, just praise them. You don't have to be so professional, Long Jie complained. Tongning let out a laugh. Sure enough, the sky was clear after the rain. Long Jie's carefree personality had returned. No, we completed it together. What do you plan to do now? The first version of the trailer has already been completed. We are about to start the first wave of publicity before we hold a test screening, Tongning replied. The test screening this time will be targeted at a specific group of people. For example, film critics and fans that like sci-fi. Aha! Let me know if I need anything else. And Zihao replied. How has Xingyan been lately? At the mention of this mischievous brat, and Zihao shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly, I've planned a path for her to become an international superstar, but she insists that there are too few female martial arts stars in the country. She even tried to beat around the bush and decided to enter the martial arts world. As a girl and Mo Ting's sister, how ugly would it be for her to wield a martial arts club? You're just being tough on the outside but soft on the inside. You're worried that she'll get hurt, aren't you? Actually, Xingyan is right. There is a shortage of female martial arts stars in the country. There are special effects now, but it's still very different from the visual experience of punching flesh. And Zihao touched his neck again. Zaheo, I don't care what you do. Since Ting has handed Xingyan over to you, you should be responsible for her happiness and safety. Got it. Now you're putting on airs as my sister-in-law? The three chatted happily like the storm had passed. But Tongning had no idea that the biggest threat was actually within her fan club. As she was about to hold a test screening, she decided to give a portion of her fans a chance to watch the film. Apart from comforting them a little, she also wanted to make sure that there were capable people amongst the fan club that could provide their own opinions on the film. Of course, even if she didn't invite her fans, the official fan club would still receive the news before the trailer was released. After all, they needed to coordinate with the film's publicity. Afterwards, Longjie announced the good news to the official fan club. As a result, the group exploded in excitement. My Tongning's new film is going to be released? Oh God, am I seeing things? Oh, I'm going crazy. Longjie, you're so mean. How can you announce it at a time like this? I can't even carry on with my work. Longjie happily replied in the group chat. That's right, Tongning's sci-fi film is about to be released. So, I hope everyone will cooperate with the promotion. When the time comes, I will ask the president of the fan club to take charge of the promotion. Also, this news has not been released to the public yet, so please keep it a secret for now. Watch your mouths. Otherwise, I'll start scolding you. For loyal fans, nothing was more important than protecting their idol's interests. Meanwhile, the official fan club was the main source of support for the fans. Since Tongning's film was going to be released, apart from being excited, they also had to cooperate. In reality, since Longjie had already announced it to the official fan club, why would she need to keep it a secret? It was simply a way to reward the fans. By letting them know in advance, it would give them the confidence to speak up for themselves. But no one expected, Han Xiucha had been keeping his fan club's notifications open the entire time. As soon as Longjie spoke, he noticed it. Tongning's new film was going to be released. And it was a sci-fi film? As expected, this was the benefit of waiting and suffering. Wasn't this the perfect opportunity to slander Tongning? With this thought, a brilliant plan formed in Han Xiucha's mind. After all, he had studied a lot of sci-fi films and made a lot of short films. Since Tongning likes sci-fi so much, he was going to edit some of them and cause trouble for her. And he wasn't going to tell anyone about this. So, Tongning wouldn't be able to find out anything. So, just as Tongning was going through her final confirmation of the promotional video, someone suddenly released a piece of news online. Tongning's new film has been released. Quick, take a look at the footage of Tongning's latest sci-fi film. As soon as Longjie discovered this, she immediately downloaded the footage and verified it. So, did our documents really get leaked? The couple were on their way to the post-production studio. Because of the urgency of the situation, Tongning asked Longjie as she walked. I've looked through the footage in detail. It's not our documents that got leaked. Someone deliberately used other sources to create this footage. What's their motive? After I saw the footage, I tried to guess their motive. The sci-fi effects of the footage were simply hilarious, but they cleverly interspersed it with footage from Qiao Sen's previous films. This caused the public to misunderstand and think that your films are rubbish. Although news of Boss appearing in a film had previously spread, the public weren't sure. So the culprit cleverly found footage from Qiao Sen's previous films and edited it. So, I'm guessing they simply want the public to ridicule your film. Chapter 1057. After hearing Longjie's analysis, Tongning let out a sigh of relief. As long as the resources weren't actually leaked, the situation wasn't that serious. Show me these videos. After watching the 3 leaked clips of her film, she said to Longjie, the timing of this incident is quite clever. You mean the fan club? However, we didn't really expect them to keep it a secret. But now it seems that we are being used by people with ulterior motives. Because Tongning's new movie was indeed going to be released. It was at this time that such a video was leaked. Sure enough, before one wave had subsided, another wave had risen. As a result, the public were even more doubtful about Tongning's film career. Especially since she was Joan's student. As Joan's disciple, if Tongning has really produced a film of this quality, I would advise her to return to acting. Although the authenticity of this has yet to be verified, I want to say that the leaked footage is really terrible. It's so bad that it hurts my eyes. This isn't my Ning's movie, right? I won't believe it even if I die. Didn't you see Johnson inside? The 3 videos were all around 20 seconds long. There was no main plot, just some special effects. However, it was obvious that these things were an insult to the audience's intelligence. As a result, Tongning was ridiculed by everyone. Worst of all, what was originally a bonus had now become a shackle for Tongning. Not only Tongning, even Emoting took this matter seriously. Especially after watching the video, it was actually very easy to refute the rumors. But, under the situation where they didn't know who the other party was, what if the other party reacted accordingly? Moreover, the publicity plan had already been drawn up. Now, due to an unexpected reason, everything had to be messed up? Emoting and Tongning were the same. They didn't like being in a passive position. Of course, he couldn't rule out the possibility that someone might make a joke out of the video after finding out about this. After all, many fans would edit the video on many video websites in order to satisfy their desire to watch in advance. This wasn't illegal. But the current situation was that a lot of fans were successfully misled. One of the main reasons was because of Chiao's senator. This increased the authenticity of the video. Han Xiucha must have thought that Tongning was worried sick. Or did he think Tongning's film would be of this standard? But no matter what, he firmly believed that Tongning did not have a good time. But what did Tongning think in the end? The outside world is filled with ridicule. How can you be so calm? Long Jie asked anxiously after seeing Tongning's calmness. That's because this matter might not necessarily be harmful to me. Think about it. Although people tend to have their first impressions, it's still not real. I was worried that everyone was expecting too much of me just because I'm Joan's disciple, but after seeing this video. In other words, the appearance of this video has actually lowered the audience's expectations for you. When the time comes, when our movie is actually released, it will be amazing. Long Jie quickly understood what Tongning was trying to say. Okay, we can only look on the bright side. So let them mock us. When the time comes, we just need to use the right method to pull them back onto the right track. The promotional schedule will remain the same. There will be no changes. After hearing Tongning's arrangements, Long Jie felt like she had returned to the days when she first started out as an actress. Do you still remember how you were ridiculed when you acted in Stupid? How many people were waiting to see you fail at the box office? But from Stupid to Survivor, all your films have created miracles at the box office. Since the past is in the past, let's move on, Tongning reminded. Tongning reminded Long Jie. No matter what, don't hold on to your past achievements. Otherwise, it's easy to lose sight of yourself. Plus, who knows? The Ant Queen might actually fail at the box office. Phew jinx. Long Jie couldn't help but spit. Who curses their own film to fail? Tongning looked at Long Jie's reaction and laughed. She then downloaded the videos that Han Xiucha made on her phone. Although she was indeed ridiculed, she felt that if she wanted to find the mastermind, she might be able to find some clues from these videos. Of course, Emoting supported Tongning's idea. That afternoon, the living room of Tongning and Emoting's home was empty, but it was filled with the latest entertainment news. Two-time Best Actress Tongning is about to return to the film industry with a new film. But not too long ago, a leaked version of Tongning's new film was released online. In terms of quality, it wasn't as good as expected. So today we will take you to Hairue to interview President Mo. Let's see if we can get more accurate information from him. Afterwards, the cameras cut to Emoting walking out of the main entrance of Hairue. President Mo, can you tell me if the footage of Tongning's new film that's been circulating online is true? Wait until the official trailer is released. You will know if it's true. Emoting replied straightforwardly. The media chased after him the entire way. But during the 1-minute journey, he only answered one question. However, this answer was equivalent to not answering them. But he also indirectly denied that the footage was from Tongning's new film. Otherwise, the film wouldn't have been released at the prearranged time. From the looks of it, the authenticity of the leaked footage was still questionable. But to most people, Tongning was indeed working hard. In order to produce a sci-fi film, she even sacrificed Xiao Sen's life. But hard work and professionalism were two different things. Even if Tongning was meticulous, the film she produced could still end up as a bad film. After all, this wasn't a normal film, it was a sci-fi film. The most difficult sci-fi film to produce. Whether it was during filming or post-production, the audience could clearly see that it couldn't be faked. So the industry didn't have high hopes for her. This time, they didn't have high hopes for her. It wasn't because Tongning didn't have good acting skills, nor was it because she didn't work hard enough. It was because she had chosen the most difficult path. Tongning knew this better than anyone. But so what? Tongning looked at the films that were going to be released recently. Some were strong, some were weak, and some were American blockbusters. As for her film, it had the lowest expectations. Seeing this scene, Tongning felt a sense of déjà vu. Chapter 1058. So she smiled helplessly. Why was it that every time she had a new project, she ended up in a similar situation? Meanwhile, Mo Ting wasn't affected at all. After Hai Rui revised the trailer, it was decided that it would be released in theaters across the country in 3 days. So during this time, Tongning once again ignored Han Xiuqia's provocation. This made Han Xiuqia even angrier. Meanwhile, on Tongning's official fan page, Long Jie did not reveal any more information, nor did she give an explanation. However, this operation of his could only fool the people outside. It could not fool his own brother at all. Last time, you almost made your brother kneel down and apologize on your behalf. What evil idea did you come up with this time? Did you create the fake trailer for Tongning's new film? Big brother, I owe you. Han Xiuqia only showed a little bit of weakness in front of his brother. I owe you from a past life. Stop hiding and come back. No matter what happens, your brother will always be here for you. Han Xiuqia's brother said gently. Han Xiuqia's brother said gently. In this world, your older brother treats you the best. You have to admit that. As Han Xiuqia had lost his mother since he was young, his brother played 2 roles. He knew that his brother had trouble expressing his emotions, so he was exceptionally tolerant towards him. Even when his brother got into trouble, he tried his best to forgive and understand. As a result, Han Xiuqia may be rebellious when it came to small matters, but when it came to big matters, he would always listen to his brother. From the looks of it, you're going against Tongning for the rest of your life. In reality, as soon as Han Xiuqia's brother found out who was behind the fake trailer, he decided to find Han Xiuqia. He was confident that Tongning would be able to find the culprit in no time. So he was going to do his best to ensure Han Xiuqia's safety. But, even if Hai Rui comes looking for you, I will still do my best to protect you. I won't let you get hurt. If he had to find someone to dote on in real life, it would be Han Xiuqia's brother. I can't believe you came up with something like this to slander Tongning. From what his brother said, it seemed he thought his method was childish. But he felt his method was simple and violent, perfect for dealing with Tongning. Over the next few days, Hai Rui and Tongning did not step out to explain or slap the face of the fake video. Because deep down, Tongning pretended that she had never seen the video and turned a deaf ear to it. 3 days later, on the day of the first screening on Sunday afternoon, Mo Ting had already finished all the preparations and was going to release the first version of the trailer in the cinemas. As it was the weekend, there were a lot of people attending the film. So after communicating with Hai Rui, they arranged for the first trailer for The Ant Queen to be released before every screening. So that afternoon, the movie fans entered the cinema unprepared. As they watched the opening advertisement, a giant termite suddenly appeared on the screen. Many of them turned pale with fright, but at the same time, they found it exciting. Because of this scene, they were deeply attracted to it. After that, there were a few more exciting scenes, but everyone noticed it. This male lead, the man in the film, who was always on guard, was Mo Ting. Then the name of the director appeared on the screen. Xiao Sun and Zihao. Finally, the name of the producer and producer, Tongning. After the 20-second trailer, the name of the film was revealed. The Ant Queen. Film fans were dumbfounded. They had no idea what had happened in those 20 seconds. In fact, because of the trailer, they lost interest in the film that was to follow. Plenty of film fans began to confirm with each other in the cinema. Some even started chatting with strangers. I also want to know if I'm seeing things. I just recorded the last few seconds of the trailer. That's when the name of the film was revealed. So you guys didn't see it wrong. It's the Ant Queen. This was the first time the staff had ever seen a member of the audience make such a request. They actually wanted them to play the trailer for the Ant Queen again. It was also the first time he had seen a movie fan get so excited over a movie's trailer. But this was a cinema, not a home theater. How could they back off? Film fans had no choice but to buy tickets for the next screening before it started, just so they could watch the trailer one more time. This was because Hairue had an agreement with the cinema chain. The trailer for The Ant Queen was only to be played in the cinema, and film fans were not allowed to watch it through any other channels. Even if they used their phones to film the trailer, as soon as it was released online, it would be censored as much as possible. This was to create a sense of mystery for the film. But even though it was only shown in the cinema, the numbers were already shocking. Many film fans finally got to watch the trailer a second time. This time, because they paid special attention to it, they watched the entire 20 seconds carefully, afraid that they would miss out on any details. In the end, everyone confirmed that the actor was Mo Ting, the director was Chiao Sun and Nziheo, and the producer was Tongning. The quality of this trailer is really good. One look and you can tell that it has a good feel to it. It's completely different from the leaked version that was previously circulating online. Fuck, that's awesome. When those termites came out, I was shocked. If this is the official version of the film, does that mean that the leaked version was just a rumor? It's obvious. This is a sci-fi film, not anything else. There's no way it could become so strong in just a few days, right? Someone must have slandered it. This is the film that Tongning wants to showcase. It's the real deal. I'm done for. I've only watched it for 20 seconds, but I'm already burning with excitement. I must say, Hairue sure knows how to do business. They only allowed the film to be shown in the cinema, and only once per film. While this netizen commented, he also showed the ticket stubs of all the films he had watched that afternoon. All because I wanted to watch the trailer for The Ant Queen. Objectively speaking, compared to the leaked version online, the one that was shown in the cinema does indeed exude a strong sense of Tongning. This is more like what she does. As long as it's related to film and acting, she always takes it 100% seriously. Previously, so many people ridiculed her. Let's see what they can say after seeing the real trailer. In reality, a mere 20 seconds of trailer was not enough to explain everything. After all, a film could condense the best parts into a few seconds. Chapter 1059. So, as soon as the film critics heard about this, they couldn't provide a complete review. All they could do was complain about the leaked version that they had previously seen. Who would be so shameless? But because of how serious Tongning, Mo Ting and Hairue were, film fans also started to treat the film seriously. At least, their attitude wasn't casual. Even though they were simply releasing a promotional video, they were still criticized. But Tongning did not let this mess affect her rhythm. This meant Tongning wasn't affected by the outside world. She was a stable and reliable person. The theater managers were probably laughing like crazy. Although the Ant Queen's trailer couldn't change the trend of the industry, they still reaped more than they usually did on a weekend soon. News of the Ant Queen's exposure spread like wildfire, and Tongning's brilliance could no longer be hidden. I've already collected all the data from the trailer's release. Whether it's in terms of popularity, trending topics, discussions, or anything else, everything is exploding. Tongning this time, the Ant Queen will definitely sell like hotcakes. After receiving the data, Longjia waved her hands in front of Tongning. But Tongning did not seem happy at all. Come here and take a look at something, Tongning said as she stood up from her computer, and gestured for Longjia to sit down. Look at what? I've been watching it for a few days now and I haven't missed a single frame. Finally, I found this. Tongning dragged the video to a familiar spot and paused it. She then enlarged the video so Longjia could see the logo at the bottom of the screen. But what does this mean? Longjia asked. Guess what I found? Tongning opened up another website and found a website that allowed her to view Han Xiuqia's comics. She then pulled out the last image of each episode and compared it to the one in the video. Do you understand now? After Long Jie saw the video, she was shocked and angry. That jerk. I told him to come out and kneel, but he didn't have the guts to do it. He sure knows how to do things like this. I should have noticed this before. Have you forgotten? He's also well versed in sci-fi, so it's not surprising that he's able to make a short film like this. Tongning sighed and turned off her computer. Why did you close it? Just take a screenshot and slap yourself in the face. Just this alone won't be enough to slap him in the face. You can find some of the videos online, but he won't admit to it. Plus, don't forget how he completely denied everything he did, Tongning replied. Then what should we do? Since we know that he's behind this, then it's easy. It's better than not knowing anything. Now the key is, how did he know that we were going to release the promotional video? Does he have any contact with the people in the official chat group? I think it's necessary to figure out these things. Right now he is in the light, and I am in the dark. We have the right to speak. You're right. Long Jie nodded her head. I can't believe he actually wanted to hurt you. How much does he hate you for him to be so stubborn? Look into the official group in private, and pay attention to his next move. Don't worry, I'm good at finding traitors. Long Jie made an okay gesture. To enter the official fan club, one had to go through a strict selection process. Recently, there had been no new members. So, to find out if a fan had leaked the information, they needed to go through a strict investigation. Long Jie contacted the fan club president in private and asked her about the situation. From the president, Long Jie received some answers. Long Jie, firstly, in all the time that I've been the president, as long as it's something that's been kept a secret, the fan club has always kept it a secret. So I don't think it's possible for information to have been leaked. After all, the members of the fan club are all hardcore fans that have been in the entertainment industry for many years. They know what's important and what's not. So if there really was a leak, it must have been done by someone else. We can't rush this investigation. How about this? Pay close attention to the fans' movements and see if anything strange has happened. We can focus on that, Long Jie said to the president. What kind of strange thing? For example, a sudden change in their lifestyle. Or they might be online when they shouldn't be online. Or they might be a person that was originally talkative, but suddenly became quiet and simply paid attention to the fan club. If we discover such a person, don't alert them. As long as we know what's going on, that's all we need to know, Long Jie explained in seriousness. I understand, Long Jie. Someone tried to harm my Ning, and even used our fan club. I won't let them off so easily. They're too vicious. You've worked hard. Long Jie comforted the president and then logged off, because they had to wait for the other party to make a mistake before they would notice it. Although Han Xiuqia accidentally helped you this time, we still can't defend against people trying to harm us. After hearing this, Tongning let out a gentle laugh. Did you think that Han Xiuqia was the only one trying to harm us? Why don't you take a look and see what other domestically produced sci-fi films are going to be released this year? When the time comes, there will be a good show to watch. Other sci-fi films sold their looks and fans. Who else was as serious as Tongning? Originally, as long as a domestic sci-fi film had enough traffic, whether it was special effects or post-production, all they had to do was skimp on it, and they would still be able to make a lot of money. But Tongning's appearance was bound to change this situation. For those filmmakers that took an unconventional approach, it was yet another blow to the head. Cutting someone off from making money was the same as killing their parents. Fine, if something like that really happened, what could we do? We'd just have to deal with it as it comes. Anyway, I trust you. Long Jie shrugged her shoulders indifferently. Because of the release of the first trailer, Tongning's film went from last place to first place. While everyone sighed at the post-production and special effects, they were also interested in the fact that Mo Ting was the main lead. Of course, since a new film was going to be released, Tongning decided to stop keeping a low profile and use a new identity in the entertainment industry. After all, She had promised that she would return. So, she decided to attend the upcoming film festival. This was also Emoting's idea. The Ant Queen had a solid approach to promotion, so as long as Tongning was required to attend, she would cooperate with them. Tongning announces that she will be attending the Beijing Film Festival. Chapter 1060. Tongning makes a high-profile comeback with the Ant Queen. In just 1 year, Tongning has returned. But have you changed? A year later, Tongning returned to the lobby of Hai Rui. This was the first time since she announced that she would be temporarily retreating from the entertainment industry, and even leaving Hai Rui, that she appeared in front of everyone. As usual, the people at Hai Rui treated her with great respect. After all, the admiration they felt for Tongning was no less than the love they felt for Emoting. Good morning, Ningjie. Good morning, Ningjie. Is Ningjie here for the meeting? That's right. Tongning had come to Hai Rui for the press release of the Ant Queen. Although she was no longer an artist at Hai Rui was still responsible for the post-production of the Ant Queen. So, they were working together. It had been a long time since Fang Yu saw Tongning again. So before the meeting started, he couldn't help but smile. This time, the board of directors requested to collaborate with you. It's obvious that everyone can tell that the Ant Queen is a real talent. From what I can see, President Mo can do whatever he wants with you from now on, and they won't have any objections. That's why the saying, those who win the hearts of the people win the world, applies to you. How's Jingjing doing? Tongning asked with a smile. We haven't seen each other in a long time. I'll take her to the press release of the Ant Queen. Fang Yu nodded. She knows that your new film is about to be released, so she keeps nagging me about it. I'm so tired that calluses are about to form in my ears. Tongning wanted to say more, but Emoting and Lu Che had already entered the meeting room. At that moment, Emoting acted like he was the decision-maker at Hai Rui and temporarily hid his identity as Tongning's husband. President Mo is so strict. His expression is so serious. Is that why he usually looks at you guys like this? Tongning teased. Otherwise, why do you think everyone at Hai Rui is so afraid of him? But I actually think he's very charming when he looks like this. I like it a lot. How should she put it? Tongning's infatuation with Emoting had not decreased in the slightest. Plus, Emoting was used to being gentle at home, so it was rare for Tongning to see him so serious. So, her heart couldn't help but race. How useless. The Ant Queen's promotion has met our expectations. That's why we need to release the second trailer as soon as possible. Of course, we won't directly release the trailer. Instead, we are still looking for ways to collaborate with the advertisers. After the Beijing Film Festival, we will hold a pre-screening for the Ant Queen. Fang Yu needs to make preparations and come up with an invite list. Also, Tongning, your post-production team needs to be reorganized. Right now, you need to consider what path you should take after losing Qiao Sun for the Ant Queen. Are you ready for the Ant Queen too? Tongning and Emoting looked deeply into each other's eyes. From his eyes, Tongning could see Emoting's seriousness. He was making strict demands on her. This time, he wasn't going to let her experience another climax. He wasn't going to force her out of the entertainment industry again. This time, he wanted her to forever stand at the top of the entertainment industry. You are no longer entering the film and television industry as an actor. You have more problems to deal with. If you want to excel in your role as a producer, you need to take a long-term view, okay? Okay. Hearing this soft and gentle word, all the staff present were shocked. Did this couple come here to show off their love? After the meeting ended, the couple headed into Emoting's office. As soon as the door closed, Tongning wrapped her arms around Emoting from behind. What's wrong? Emoting wanted to turn around, but Tongning held him back. Don't move. You were too mesmerizing just now. My heart has been itching for you for a long time. I've wanted to do this for a long time. Tongning rarely said things like this. But when she did, it was enough to make one's heart flutter. Emoting had already experienced this a long time ago. Although the couple were already parents of 3 children, it had been a long time since they were both so busy with their careers. Apart from complimenting each other in their daily lives, it had been a long time since they had a chance to hug each other like this. Ha! I like it when you are strict with me and when you control me. It gives me a sense of security and direction, Tongning explained gently. Ting, I've been living a blissful life over the past few years. Haven't I been the same? Ting asked. He then turned around, locked the office door and carried Tongning in his arms. Ting, what are you doing? Tongning was surprised by Ting's actions as he placed her on the sofa. What do you think? I haven't left a single trace of you in my office yet. After speaking, Ting began to kiss her passionately. Wasn't teasing her man like this the same as hinting at something? Since Tongning was taking the initiative, how could Ting let go of such a great opportunity? It turns out, it's true that you men don't miss out on any place. That's because I love you. That's why I feel like turning into a wolf. Although Tongning's office door was locked from the inside, and she wasn't afraid of anyone entering, Ting's office door wasn't completely sealed. There was still a gap. So Tongning felt embarrassed the entire time as she buried her head in Ting's chest. Seeing this, Ting couldn't help but laugh. Are you trying to say that if I hide my head, no one will know that you are in my office? Quick, take me home. Yen Er is about to wake up. Tongning's face turned red. Ting stood up and helped her tidy up her clothes. Only after he was done did he use the elevator to take her downstairs. But before she left, Ting reminded beside her ear. Remember to go pick out a dress with long jia. You haven't attended formal events in a long time, so most of the dresses at home are old. You should buy some new ones. Okay, Tongning nodded her head. This woman, no matter how many years had passed and no matter what her identity was on the outside, in front of him, she would always act like she did when they were newlyweds. She would shyly turn her head to the side when they shared a bed for the first time. Even now, she had not changed this habit. After returning home, Tongning called Long Jie over in a serious manner and began to clear out the old gowns. During this time, Long Jie suddenly thought of something and said to Tongning, I've done a check in the group chat. The president has told me that she has made some progress. Since we know that Han Xiucha is the mastermind, we don't have to worry about finding the mole. Let's take it slow. Chapter 1061. However, it seems Han Xiucha's brother will also be attending the Beijing Film Festival. If we see him, we can give him a warning. Long Jie said. Your return this time, we need to make sure it's grand. There's no need. I don't need to be grand anymore. Meanwhile, Han Xiucha's brother, Han Jie, was also preparing a suit. But seeing how restless Han Xiucha was, he couldn't help but sigh. Are you still thinking about framing Tongning? Brother, I want to go to the film festival too. You're in an awkward position now. What are you going to do? Are you going to let Tongning catch you and force you to kneel before her? Han Xiucha's brother glared at his brother. I won't show my face in public. I'll just take a stroll outside. You know, I haven't been out for a long time. Didn't you ask for it? Han Xiucha's brother humphed. However, he couldn't resist Han Xiucha's nagging. When the time comes, you can be my driver. But I have one request. You can't let anyone see you. Otherwise, the two of us will be ridiculed again. Okay, Han Xiucha nodded. By the way, have you seen the trailer for Tongning's new film? Yes, I have. Han Xiucha replied. But based on the quality of our domestic post-production, it's impossible for us to achieve the effects she created. So, let's not say that she didn't use Hollywood special effects. You may be able to fool others, but you can't fool me. After hearing this, Han Xiucha's brother was a little surprised. He then asked hesitantly, are you trying to say that Tongning borrowed Hollywood standards and insisted that the special effects were domestically produced? You don't believe me? Han Jie pondered as he put on his tie. Maybe. However, this direction could be revealed to the big shots of sci-fi movies that were about to be released and used as a reference to mislead the wind. I will think of a way to clarify this matter. But you must promise me that no one will recognize you at the film festival. I swear. Han Xiucha raised his hand. Han Jie had no choice but to nod in agreement since he couldn't disobey his younger brother. However, with the brothers' hostility towards Tongning. What kind of exciting story would happen at the film festival? As for Tongning's post-production team, they had no idea that their special effects would be questioned by others, and assumed that they had borrowed the help of a Hollywood team. So was this a compliment? Or to belittle them? Taking advantage of the fact that the film festival had yet to start, Hairue rushed into production on the second trailer for The Ant Queen. As for this edition, compared to the previous one, there were a lot more exciting and risky elements. This time, Moting's motive was to help Tongning open up a limited market and work with a variety of advertisers. This way, they could promote the film to a wider audience and not just film lovers. Because of the release of The Ant Queen, Tongning once again became a hot topic of discussion. Although she had never been forgotten, it couldn't be forgotten that when Tongning disappeared from the entertainment industry, there were a lot of newcomers that debuted. The entertainment industry was flourishing, so it was hard to find a second talent. If Tongning was like this, she could easily enter and exit the industry as she pleased. I've prepared a dress for you for the Beijing Film Festival. Are you satisfied with it? Longjia had put in a lot of effort to order the dress from France. She wanted to tell Tongning that she would take a look, but the current Tongning had no interest in the red carpet. Leave it there, I'll try it on in a bit. The film festival is tomorrow. Hurry and try it on. If there's anything wrong with the size, I'll make some adjustments. Your appearance will definitely be the highlight. Longjia dragged Tongning into the fitting room. She had no idea that the dress she ordered wasn't one of a kind. Of course, what was the most awkward thing for a celebrity? It was when someone wore the same outfit as them. Perhaps, it was because of their age or because they had been in the industry for too long. Tongning, who had been through a lot, hated attending glamorous events. Everyone knew, on the red carpet, the celebrities appeared harmonious, but in reality, they were competing behind the scenes to snatch the center of attention. There were countless tricks up their sleeves. Rather than standing out in the limelight, she would rather spend time at home with her children or study the post-production of her film. So, she no longer paid attention to her dress like she used to. As long as it was presentable, she didn't care if it wasn't the best dress. But she was, after all, a two-time Phaeton Best Actress and a legend. Now she even had a new identity as a producer. So, she naturally became the highlight of the film festival. This was unavoidable. That night, the entertainment news of all the major channels reported on this matter. The film festival will officially open on XX Day. Behind me is the venue of the festival, the Oriental Church. This year's film festival will be as colorful as ever. The superstar Tongning will also be appearing at the Beijing Film Festival with her new film, The Ant Queen. After her shower, Tongning lay in bed waiting for Mo Ting. Seeing her man return to the bedroom wrapped in a towel, she turned off the TV and said, "There's a place I want to go before I attend the film festival." Mo Ting lifted the blankets and climbed into bed. He then pulled Tongning into his embrace. "Go." After hearing these two words, Tongning lay on Mo Ting's muscular chest and closed her eyes. She knew that Mo Ting understood her. After the Ant Queen was completed, she hadn't told Xiao Sun about it yet. So before the film festival, Tongning decided to visit his grave. The next morning, Tongning and Longjia arrived at Xiao Sun's grave with fresh flowers and a copy of The Ant Queen. Because she thought, Xiao Sun could finally rest in peace. "Xiao Senior. I'm back. The film is completed. Have you seen it? I've done what I promised you. I'm sure you'll be happy in heaven to find out about this. You were so desperate for this film to be released. Now, I have fulfilled your wish, but I will continue to carry your dream forward." Longjia stood behind Tongning. As she watched Tongning and Xiao Sun speak, her heart was filled with emotions. She knew that Xiao Sun's death would always be a knot in Tongning's heart, and she would always feel guilty towards him. "Let's go, we're going to be late," Longjia urged. Tongning stared at Xiao Sun's grave for a few minutes before she turned around and said to Longjia, "Let's go. I can change in the car. Zihao is already on his way. Let's meet up in a bit." Chapter 1062. Originally, as the male lead, Mo Ting was expected to attend. But his identity was already there, and it wasn't his job to be an actor. So he decided to stay in Hairue for a video conference. Soon, they returned to the van. Inside, Tongning changed into her gown and fixed her makeup. From the looks of it, you must be an extra. Don't you care about your identity as a superstar? Look at other artists. Which one of them doesn't have a makeup artist on standby? To be exact, in order for their artist to stand out from the crowd, they've even used their entire team. In this aspect, Tongning was becoming more and more humble. However, with your current appearance, even if you're wearing a gunny sack, you'll still shock everyone. Tongning giggled as she reminded Long Jie to take care of her stomach when there were so many people around her. After all, she was currently pregnant and nothing was more important than her body. Long Jie nodded her head happily. After experiencing the incident with the Lu family, she now treasured the people around her even more. Especially when she thought about Father Lu and Mother Lu's divorce. She reminded herself that she needed to live a happier life than before. Soon, the couple arrived at Nziheo's rendezvous point, and Nziheo went to pick up the ghost elf, Coco. Children grew very fast. It had only been a few months, and she had actually grown taller. As soon as Nziheo saw Tongning, he pointed at her from head to toe and said, "Although you're still elegant, don't you think you're a little too plain for the red carpet?" Tongning was wearing a silver spaghetti strap dress, and her wavy hair flowed down her back. She didn't have any makeup on, nor did she have any jewelry on. In fact, she wasn't even wearing any earrings. All she had on her finger was the ring that Mo Ting had given her. "I went to see Chiao Senator, being too flashy isn't appropriate." "Okay." Nziheo nodded his head as a hint of admiration appeared on his handsome face. Nziheo had always admired Tongning for being loyal to her friends. Her attire was extremely simple, but her aura was there. However, the reporters were all guessing how she would dress up for her debut as a model. After all, this was the first promotional stop for her film and her comeback. She was going to surprise everyone with her unique look. After all, when they looked at other artists, which one of them wasn't competing for attention? "Quick, look, Tongning is here." "Tongning? Hurry. She's finally here." The reporters around them started snapping away at Tongning. But, as Tongning stepped onto the red carpet, everyone was shocked by her simplicity. Tongning was already keeping a low profile, but the reporters thought she was going the opposite way this year, and was going for the minimalist route. Her clean and bright outfit accentuated the color in her eyes, and made her look even prettier than when she was dressed up. As for the female stars that walked past, they were filled with regret. Why did they have to compete for beauty? Why didn't they show themselves in their natural state? Looking at Tongning's skin condition, it couldn't be better. And her figure, especially her eyes, clear and flawless, as beautiful as a dazzling diamond. The netizens who were watching the live broadcast of the red carpet almost burst into laughter. This year, each female star is more beautiful than the last. It's like a flock of chicks competing for beauty. But it was instantly destroyed by Tongning's simple and unadorned style. What a strange scene. Wrong. This year is a jewelry competition, but it can't compete with the simple wedding ring on Tongning's finger. This year's celebrity teams have all miscalculated. 23333. It's also very wonderful and funny. Am I seeing things? Which artist is this? How dare she wear a dress identical to Tongning's? She wore the same dress as Tongning. And she's smiling and waving at the media? Damn, if there's no comparison, there's no harm. Tongning's aura is eye-catching. She's as light as a chrysanthemum flower, like she came from the heavens. But for them to wear the same dress at an event like this, it's still quite awkward. It's best if they don't bump into each other. But that sister is wearing the same dress as Auntie Ning, Coco said as she pointed to a young artist not too far away. Following Coco's words, Long Jie took a closer look and furrowed her brows. Tongning, why don't we swap? Swap what? Tongning laughed. Your size is different from mine. Wouldn't it be more awkward if we swap? Moreover, it looks quite nice on me. Seeing this, Nziheo said to Tongning, you are, after all, the best actress. You need to be mindful of your identity. Tongning looked down at her dress. She originally wanted to make some changes, But they were too close together, so someone noticed they were wearing the same dress. Thinking about Tangning's identity, how could she be wearing the same dress as a small artist? Who styled her? Were Hairue's stylists just for show? The best actress is embarrassed. That's why. Why did she choose to be simple? Did something happen? It's better to pick one out of a million. After all, limited editions are more valuable. Just like the dresses they're wearing, I have countless of them hidden in my wardrobe. Yet, Tangning doesn't care about her identity. Every year at the film festival, the outfits of female celebrities were always one of the highlights. Not only did Tangning not follow the rules, she even won applause with her simplicity. But now? Let's see what she's going to do. Meanwhile, the young artist who wore the same dress as Tangning noticed the awkward scene and began to panic. After all, she was wearing the same dress as Tangning. So, she glanced at the people around her, especially the director who had brought her on stage. Could Tangning have misunderstood that she was trying to gain popularity? With this thought, the young artist wanted to step forward and explain things to Tangning. Or perhaps she wanted to get changed. But to her surprise, Tangning asked Ningjia to remove her black suit jacket and hand it to her. She put it on and approached the young artist. Ningjia, I didn't do it on purpose. The woman did not expect Tangning to smile at her. Don't take it to heart. I am simply appearing on stage today as a producer. So the elegance should belong to the person standing at the front of the stage. The woman did not expect Tangning to respond in such a way. She was overwhelmed by Tangning's favor. But what surprised her even more was the two-time Flying Sky Best Actress. Tangning actually put on a jacket and left all the glory to a small-time artist like her. Afterwards, Tangning walked past her and used her identity as a producer to resolve the awkwardness. At this time, the director of the small artist's film stood beside her and sighed. Learn from her. This is the elegance of a superstar. Afterwards, the scene of Tangning resolving the awkwardness began to spread. On one hand, it was because the artists were amazed by her high EQ. On the other hand, it provided a model for future celebrities who wore the same dress. Chapter 1063. Not long after, someone leaked a photo of Tangning visiting Qiao Sen's grave that morning. As a result, everyone understood why she was dressed so plainly. She was paying her respects to an old friend. Afterwards, she headed straight for the opening ceremony of the film festival. Seeing this, the netizens couldn't help but sigh. I don't know why, but when Tangning returns with a film behind her, she feels even more dignified. Before she left, she once said that she would carry on with Qiao Sen's dreams. Now that the Ant Queen is about to be released, I'm guessing she's going to pay her respects to Qiao Sen because she wants to tell him the good news. It's easy for a woman to live like a vase, but it's not easy for her to live with her thoughts and emotions. I don't think Tangning really cares about the outside anymore. Indeed, she didn't care. So, for the sake of a minor artist, she put on a jacket and covered herself up. Wasn't your move a little too clever? Longjie finally realized what happened. A normal person would think of ways to resolve an awkward situation, but they would only make it even more awkward. But Tangning did it with ease. Indeed, there was a gap between people. Tangning smiled. Just as she was about to say something, she ran into a young man that looked 70 to 80% similar to Han Xiucha. This was the man that Longjie previously mentioned, Han Xiucha's older brother. As expected, because of Tangning, the man stopped in his tracks and smiled politely. I've heard a lot about you. Now that I've seen you in person, you certainly live up to your reputation. You're too polite, President Han. We've had a lot of interactions in the past, but seeing you in person isn't as good as hearing about you. Tangning stretched out her hand and shook the man's hand. I hope you won't take the incident with Xiucha to heart. He's just a kid. That's true. But I hope President Han can tell Han Xiucha that next time he does something like this, he needs to erase his logo. Tangning laughed. Plus, I'm waiting for him to kneel down and apologize. It seems, the misunderstanding between Miss Tang and my brother is quite deep. Han Jie's expression turned serious after hearing Tangning's words. After hearing Tangning's words, Han Jie's expression turned serious. However, since Miss Tang is willing to let a mere artist off, Why don't you be generous for once and let my brother off? Tongning looked at Han Jie without saying a word. At this time, Han Jie took a step forward and stood in front of Tongning as he whispered, "Do you want me to tell the public that Miss Tang hired Hollywood to help with the post-production of her film?" Tongning furrowed her brows. "You can fool others, but you can't fool Xiaoche's eyes." After speaking, Han Jie walked away from Tongning with a meaningful smile on his face. "Your expression changed. What did he say to you?" Long Jie immediately asked. "Do you still remember that he and Han Xiaoche both believe that we've found a Hollywood team for post-production? Han Xiaoche is also researching sci-fi. That jerk is still clinging to you, isn't he?" Long Jie humphed. "I don't understand. Why does he have to go against you? Does he have any evidence?" And Zihao asked. "The post-production was done by my team, and the Americans didn't even touch it. What evidence could he possibly have? But if he creates something out of nothing and spreads the news, it will have a huge impact on the film. After all, you've always claimed to be a domestically produced film, yet you're also Joan's disciple. It's easy for the audience to be influenced by you. What are you going to do then?" "What else can I do? I'll just deal with it as it comes," Tongning replied. "I'm part of my team, so I can naturally prove my innocence. If Han Xiaoche dares to do anything to hurt me again, I will drag him out and personally make him kneel down and apologize. Han Xiaoche and his brother are complete trash." Long Jie, after the film festival, immediately investigate their family background. "I think abandoning their mother is the best way to cure them. She wanted to destroy their hearts." The opening ceremony of the film festival ended with a wave of boos. After all the celebrities were competing with each other, yet they couldn't compete with Tongning's everyday outfit. As for Tongning, she ended up in a suit and left the spotlight to a small-time celebrity. She didn't steal any of the limelight. All she wanted to do was promote her film, The Ant Queen. Meanwhile, at the film festival, Tongning overheard Long Jie's gossip from time to time. She talked about which actress cheated and got pregnant, how her husband caught her in bed, which male star had multiple girlfriends, how he was being harassed by the media, and how a certain person had been divorced for many years but still refused to admit it. The entertainment industry was all about fame and fortune. Who didn't try their best to climb up? Perhaps, in the eyes of these people, Tongning didn't care about the rules because she married a good husband. Indeed, she had to admit that because of Mo Ting's protection, she was able to avoid a lot of the rules and tricks of the entertainment industry. So whenever she had free time, Tongning would find a secluded place to slack off. Unfortunately, she had to attend the awards ceremony and dinner that night. Seeing that Tongning wasn't paying attention, and Zihao couldn't help but laugh. "In the past, you used to enjoy the atmosphere. After all, you used to be a model and enjoyed the attention of others. But now, it seems, you don't want to attend events like this." "I've become like this since I started filming," Tongning replied. "I've decided to get engaged to Xingyan. I'm not young anymore, so I want to have a child. It would be best if the child can be as obedient as her." After hearing this, Tongning nodded her head. "Indeed, it's time for you to settle down. Xingyan has suffered a lot, so of course she's very naughty. You're a lot older than her, so you should give in to her. Okay, let's go out. Rumors have been going around for a long time. If we're being used by someone with ulterior motives, wouldn't we have to waste time explaining ourselves? You can leave first. I'll wait for Long Jie," Tongning replied. And Zihao nodded his head and returned to the venue. However, Han Xiaoche, who was staring at Tongning the entire time, noticed this and took a photo. The reason he sent Han Jie over was so he could take a photo of Tongning. Since this woman prevented him from appearing in public, shouldn't he give her a response? Of course, those that knew Tongning well knew that she had a scandal with Zihao in the past. So, did this mean that he had caught her red-handed? Was she using an event like this to cheat on him? Mo Ting sure trusted this woman. Plus, just a moment ago, when he tried to eavesdrop on their conversation, he heard the woman tell him to settle down. As a result, Han Xiaoche was even more certain that the relationship between Tongning and Han Xiaoche wasn't normal. Of course, this matter was already in the past for Tongning. Even if she brought it up again to create hype, It wouldn't cause much of a commotion. But it wouldn't change the fact that she was a fickle woman. Chapter 1064. But it didn't stop him from disguising Tongning. So Han Xiucha put on a disguise and deliberately embellished their conversation with the staff at the church. How could a piece of gossip like this not spread? From the moment Tongning appeared, her outfit, her film and the fact that she went to Qiaosen's grave had already become the hottest topic. But now, an even more shocking piece of news was revealed. Someone had overheard the conversation between Tongning and Nziheo. It was a conversation that involved children and stability. Hey, have you guys heard? The staff overheard their conversation. They're using the event as an excuse to have an affair. That can't be. Tongning can't be that blind. Everyone knows how to choose between Mo Ting and Nziheo. Especially since Tongning is so smart. You don't understand? If you have one at home, you can find another. That's the only way to show off your charm. But is there evidence? I heard there are photos and recordings. That's disgusting, isn't it? During the event, the female celebrities smiled gently on the surface. But behind their backs, they spread the news that they had heard on the streets. At this time, Tongning had no idea about Han Xiucha's rumors. But Long Jie heard it from a few of the managers. Long Jie, tell me the truth. Is there something going on between Tongning and Nziheo? I promise I won't tell anyone. What and what? Long Jie was confused. Don't you know? Everyone at the event has heard about it. With the mindset of gossiping, a few of the more familiar managers explained the situation to Long Jie. After hearing this, Long Jie had no idea where this rumor came from. I admit that they have a good relationship in private, but there's nothing like what you're saying. I knew you'd give me a boring answer like that. Let's go. Everyone knew that Long Jie was protective of her boss. So even if Tongning did have a problem, she would try her best to cover it up. Afterwards, Long Jie returned to Tongning's side and explained the situation to her. What did you say to Ziheo just now? Ziheo said he wants to get engaged to Xingyan. I told him to settle down as soon as possible. Long Jie sighed and said helplessly, someone heard about it and is now spreading rumors that you and Ziheo are cheating on boss behind his back. Didn't such a thing happen before? Why is it being mentioned again? Long Jie shook her head. Rumors are the hardest to deal with. Keep quiet. People will say you have a guilty conscience. Explain yourself. People will say that you are trying to cover up. Also your friendship. After hearing Long Jie's words, Tongning laughed. Since it's hard to explain, then there's no need to explain. If no one responds, this matter will be over. The more you react, the tighter they hold on to you. Even so, Long Jie wasn't willing to give up. But Tongning knew she had no choice but to endure the misunderstanding from these idiots. But Tongning did not care. Why? You're better than them in every aspect. You come from a good family, and your acting skills aren't bad. Now that your movie is a hit, those unfortunate people will of course keep an eye on you, and want nothing more than to poke a hornet's nest out of you. So, you're just going to let it go? Otherwise, are you going to explain yourself one by one? Time will prove everything. Looking at the looks in everyone's eyes, Long Jie couldn't understand why these people had to be so sinister. Afterwards, Nziheo also caught wind of the rumor. But he simply laughed it off without giving any response. Apart from notifying Xingyan, he had no choice but to let her know. Today, I attended an event with your Ning Jie and got caught up in another scandal. Why did you drag Ning Jie into this? Qin Xingyan rolled her eyes. You're a frivolous director. My Ning Jie still needs to travel the world. You're not angry. Of course not. My Ning Jie isn't as blind as I am. And Nziheo laughed as he held onto his phone. Meanwhile, Long Jie took a break from the event to give Mo Ting a phone call. Tongning's high EQ was able to resolve other people's awkwardness. But what about her own? That night, at the awards ceremony, Tongning sat with Nziheo as usual. They both knew that no matter what happened, it wouldn't affect their friendship. After all, they both had their own interests. But behind the scenes, there were still a lot of people pointing at them. They obviously knew there was a problem, yet they didn't try to avoid it. Were they waiting to be scolded to death by the media? The artists that attended the event all felt awkward for the two. Even though they were a few rows away, they still pointed at their heads and discussed amongst themselves. It seemed they were worried sick for the two. But everyone understood. They wanted to watch a show and didn't mind blowing it up. Tongning did not react in any way, but Long Jie felt like she was sitting on pins and needles the entire night. She couldn't take it anymore. The two were obviously good friends, yet these people couldn't stop talking nonsense. "You're pregnant, you shouldn't be so impulsive." Tongning comforted. "It's already happened so many times. Why can't you learn to calm down?" "That's because you're pregnant and your emotions are unstable. You can't handle it." Long Jie scoffed. It was natural for a pregnant woman to have a quick temper. Tongning held on to Long Jie and urged her to attend the awards ceremony in silence. "It's almost over. Hold on a little longer." As it was only a promotional event for a new film, The Ant Queen had nothing to do with any of the awards. But, as the film had been receiving a lot of attention lately, the host turned his attention to Tongning after presenting her with the award for Best Documentary. Tongning and the host looked at each other and seemed to have understood something. "Tonight, the stars are shining brightly and the lights are dazzling. The handsome men and beautiful women are too much for my eyes to take in. Especially since I've seen Tongning at an event in public, it's very touching. Can I invite you up on stage so we can have a chat?" As the host had seen the trailer for The Ant Queen at the cinema, she was very interested in the film, so she was willing to help promote it. Tongning stood up from her seat. She was still wearing Long Jie's jacket, while Long Jie was wearing An Ziheo's suit. "Come quickly." This segment was added at the last minute by the host, and was something that she could control. As everyone was interested in Tongning's topic, the organizers did not stop her from inviting Tongning on stage. Tongning walked over to the host's side, and they shook hands. "I've seen the trailer for The Ant Queen, and I think it's super amazing. Can you tell us about the follow-up to the film? For example, when it will be released? And a few other events." Chapter 1065. Tongning received the microphone and said to the audience, "We will be holding a test screening very soon. As for the release date, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Can you tell us the story behind the film?" Hearing the host's question, Tongning smiled. "That's quite a wide range. After all, it's true that we've spent a lot of time and effort on it. After experiencing a lot of hardships, Qiao Sun passed away unexpectedly. I heard that you went to see Qiao Sun before you came to the show today. At that time, Qiao Sun's death must have been the biggest blow to you, right? It also led to a lot of misunderstandings and rumors. What do you think made you feel worse? From the moment I announced my comeback, I've always been at the center of controversy. Haven't I always been like this?" Tongning hinted at the scandal with An Ziheo. "That's why rumors can't hurt me. However, Qiao Sun's death made me doubt a lot of things. But because of him, I persevered until the end. So I'll never forget him. You're returning to the industry as a producer, right? Does that mean from now on, your main focus will be sci-fi films?" "Yes." Tongning nodded. "Apart from films, I won't be participating in anything else. In that case, won't you step out to explain the rumors that have been spreading about you? Don't you plan to defend yourself? Don't you feel wronged?" "Knowing that you're innocent is the best way to fight back," Tongning replied with a smile. "Well said." The host gave her a thumbs up. "I hope The Ant Queen does well at the box office. I would like to give you my best wishes. In a moment, I will be giving you a present. I hope you like it." The host did not say anything else, so Tongning simply nodded her head in thanks. She had become more and more indifferent towards life, and had no interest in chasing after the industry. Afterwards, Tongning handed the microphone back to the host. But as she turned around, the right heel of her silver high heels broke because she lost her balance. The audience sighed as the host quickly ran over to help her up. "You've encountered a small problem. Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Tongning stood up straight and tried to steady herself. But because her heels were broken, there was nothing she could do. This morning, when she went to Qiao Sun's grave, she had walked for a long time on the gravel road. so the heels were a little worn out. But with so many people watching and the media taking pictures like crazy, the audience felt Tongning had never been so embarrassed before. There was a scandal, and then there was the incident with the heels. Who knew when she stepped down from the stage, the media might even question her for creating hype. But now more people were worried about how she was going to get off the stage and regain her dignity. At this time, Long Jie stood up from her seat. Originally, she wanted to help Tongning to her feet. However, at this time, a black figure suddenly appeared from the back of the seats and headed straight for the award ceremony stage. As soon as Mo Ting received a phone call from Long Jie, he rushed over to the set. However, he kept a low profile and waited at the back. But seeing his wife trapped on stage, how could he possibly wait for Long Jie to save the day? His heart was in so much pain. Look, President Mo is here. Why is President Mo here? As everyone was sitting in their seats and Mo Ting was tall and slender, he was especially eye-catching as he walked down the aisle. Everyone watched as Mo Ting descended from the sky. He walked around the aisle and onto the stage. In front of everyone, he knelt down in front of Tongning. Take off this shoe. The host gasped in surprise. He never expected Mo Ting to come. Meanwhile, Tongning obediently took off her shoe and placed it in Mo Ting's hands. Afterwards, Mo Ting held onto Tongning's shoe with one hand and lifted her in his arms. Why are you here? Even Tongning was a little surprised. You fell from the sky. Wow, President Mo is here to save the damsel in distress. They are so lovey-dovey. The host joked as he watched Mo Ting and Tongning leave the stage. However, Mo Ting did not leave with Tongning. Instead, he escorted her back to her seat and once again returned to the back. Long Jie thought to herself, maybe I should ask boss to come down, and she can leave. But when she turned around, Mo Ting had already disappeared into the darkness. So Long Jie turned and asked Tongning, are you okay? Do you want me to go out and buy you a pair of shoes? It's fine. Since Mo Ting is here, you don't need to worry about it, Tongning smiled. Since Mo Ting had taken her shoes away, it meant he would either come back to pick her up after the event was over, or he would go out and buy her shoes. Okay, Long Jie nodded. Since Mo Ting is here, does that mean the scandal between Tongning and Nziheo is no longer true? Who knows? It's not impossible to have a foot in both boats. Behind him, there were still people discussing the relationship between Tongning and Nziheo. As a result, Mo Ting overheard their conversation. So as he walked out of the hall, he searched for a nearby shoe store and gave Lu Che a phone call. Come to the film festival, I have something to deal with. After receiving Mo Ting's task, Lu Che didn't dare to be negligent. He immediately put down all the work in his hands and drove to the event venue. By the time the film ended, it was already 9 p.m. Following that, there was a dinner to be held. Artists began to leave one by one, but Tongning couldn't do anything because she didn't have any shoes at this time. Mo Ting reappeared at the entrance of the venue with a box in his hand. He then knelt down in front of Tongning and pulled out her original pair of shoes from the box. However, they had already been repaired. President Mo is so rich. Why didn't he buy Tongning a new pair? Are you stupid? Would a new pair hurt her feet? Of course, the original pair would be more comfortable. I didn't expect President Mo to be so meticulous. The passing artists began to discuss amongst themselves. They were naturally envious of Tongning. Get up and take a walk. Tongning held on to Mo Ting's warm hand as she stood up and smiled. No problem. Let's go. Mo Ting placed Tongning's hand in his. I'll accompany you to the dinner. After all, he was the male lead, so it wasn't a problem for him to attend the event. Not to mention, he was Tongning's husband. As for Tongning's sudden situation, she originally wanted to complain about it. But because of Mo Ting's intervention, it turned into a story of a hero saving a damsel in distress. Chapter 1066. A husband that fell from the sky and was as caring as ever. Why is Tongning's luck always so good? President Mo is so handsome. Daddy Ting dotes on his wife too much. He's 100%. Of course at the dinner, everyone still treated Mo Ting's appearance like they were watching a show. Why? Perhaps he hadn't heard the details of Tongning and Nziheo's affair yet. How pitiful was this man? But no one dared to warn Mo Ting. Unless they didn't want to stay in the industry anymore. But faced with everyone's secretive expressions, Tongning simply laughed it off. Since Mo Ting was here, it meant he already knew everything that happened at the event, and the person that snitched on Mo Ting was Long Jie. Don't blame me for being nosy. I simply feel that boss needs to make an appearance to suppress this situation. After all, no matter how much you say, it's not as important as his trust. Afterwards, Lu Che finished what Mo Ting had instructed him to do and approached Mo Ting. He then whispered into Mo Ting's ear, "President, I've found the first person that started the rumor through the surveillance cameras and a bodyguard." "Where's the evidence?" "I've got it," Lu Che said as he looked at the storage device in his hand. "Store it and wait for my orders." Tongning had no idea what the two men were discussing. She simply knew that the rumor today wasn't as simple as it seemed. Words like child and stability weren't things that the average person could immediately identify. "President Mo." "Hello, President Mo." Because of Mo Ting's arrival at the dinner, the gossipy people had no choice but to temporarily stop gossiping. As for the people that Mo Ting brought Tongning to talk to, they weren't people that small-time celebrities could reach. So, the dinner was a little boring. Originally, Tongning thought the incident would blow over like this. But Mo Ting directly led her towards Han Jie, who was standing amongst the crowd. "President Han." "Oh God, President Mo." Han Jie was obviously surprised by Mo Ting's greeting. "I would like to ask, where is your brother? Doesn't he owe my wife an apology?" Mo Ting directly asked Han Jie. As soon as these words left his mouth, everyone was stunned. Of course, no one was as stiff as Han Jie. "Just because I didn't say anything doesn't mean that I've forgotten about it. Back then, your younger brother was the one who made the promise. Why didn't he fulfill it in the end?" Han Jie looked embarrassed. He suddenly didn't know how to answer. "President Mo, why do we need to bring this kind of thing to the table, right?" Mo Ting smiled faintly, but his tone was aggressive. "President Han sure knows how to play double standards. Today when I was in a meeting, my wife's assistant called me. I didn't know that attending such a lousy film festival could cause trouble. Rumor has it that my wife and Nziheo have an illicit relationship." Is that what everyone is talking about behind her back? Do people who are so skeptical have brains? Do you think you're smarter than me? I can't even find out that my wife is cheating, so you think you're very capable? So, why am I the CEO of Hairue and not you guys? Persimmons always pick the soft ones? President Mo, even if your wife is involved in a scandal, may I ask, what does it have to do with me? Han Jie couldn't hold back his anger as he asked Mo Ting. "If it's someone else, it's fine. But you aren't innocent," Mo Ting said as he looked at Lu Che. Afterwards, Lu Che called in the security guard that was spreading the rumors. "I'm innocent. I didn't see it, I simply wanted to gossip. I never expected things to turn out this way," the security guard explained as he waved his hand. The bodyguard waved his hand and explained. "The one who told me about this was a young man wearing a hat. He said he saw it." "What kind of young man was he?" Mo Ting asked. "A young man wearing a white hat. In the middle of the hat, there was a big letter G." After hearing this, Han Jie's expression changed, because this was the hat that Han Xiucha wore when he left the house. This idiot. Is that him? Mo Ting directly handed Lu Che a printed photo from the surveillance footage to the security guard. The security guard rubbed his eyes and confirmed that it was indeed him. "It's him. That's right, it's this young man." Lu Che held onto the photo and passed it around to the onlookers. Afterwards, Mo Ting's gaze returned to Han Jie. "President Han, don't you have something to say?" "This..." Han Jie rubbed his forehead. He didn't know how to respond. Seeing this, Mo Ting gestured for Lu Che to show everyone his evidence. He then gestured for Lu Che to explain. "This man got out of your car and drove you here as your driver. But if you look closely at his outfit and aura, he's definitely not a driver. In that case, who is he? He is none other than President Han's brother Han Xiucha. If you don't believe me, You can look up posts on social media related to the hat that Han Xiucha wore. There are a lot of posts about it. Previously, the madam and Han Xiucha had a grudge because of superstar media. Plus, Han Xiucha continued to frame her without repentance. He hasn't even knelt down as he promised, yet he's now trying to frame the madam for having an illicit relationship with someone else. President Han, shouldn't you take responsibility for this matter? Just like that, Han Jie was placed on the grill by Lu Che and revealed the truth in front of everyone. It turned out, there was actually such a big conspiracy behind all this. President Han, you obviously knew about the relationship between Han Xiucha and the madam, yet you still brought him to the film festival. Do you have another plan? Because of this, I hope you can explain everything to the president and the madam. President Mo, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding here. Trust me. Is that all you can say? In reality, Mo Ting didn't expect Han Jie to react in any way. After all, if he was brave enough to step out and take the blame for Han Xiucha, he wouldn't be able to call him out on it. What did you and Zihao talk about this afternoon? What made these people so excited? Obviously, Mo Ting's attitude towards Tongning had undergone a huge change. He now spoke in a gentle voice without a hint of questioning. His intention was for Tongning to speak her mind openly. Zihao told me that he's planning to get engaged to Xingyan. He said that he's not young anymore, and that it's time for him to have a child. So I told him that it's time for him to settle down. That's the entire conversation. After hearing this, everyone came to a realization. Meanwhile, Zihao rolled his eyes. You've already exposed everything. How am I supposed to propose? Chapter 1067. Tongning shrugged her shoulders. I think, innocence is more important. Meanwhile, the Han brothers' conversation, especially Han Xiucha's actions, completely angered Mo Ting. Don't live like a rat on the street. What can't you do openly? President Han, I'm waiting for the day Han Xiucha kneels down and apologizes. After being humiliated in front of everyone, could Han Jie continue to attend the gala? Obviously not. While she sighed at Mo Ting's ruthlessness, she also felt her brother's head hurt. At a time like this, why did he use such underhanded methods to frame Tongning? It was bad enough that he framed her, but why did he have to be so lowly and ruthless? That's enough. Mo Ting clarified the truth in front of everyone and presented evidence. This cleared up the public's misunderstanding towards Tongning and deepened their hatred towards the Han brothers. Did Tongning look like someone that could be bullied? Following on, the gala went smoothly. Mo Ting insisted on taking Tongning to the end of the gala because he wanted to clarify certain things. Otherwise, as time passed, the atmosphere would change. As a result, the media revealed a lot of interesting things that happened at the gala. One of the most interesting things was the fact that the rumor mongers were caught in the act. Meanwhile, Tongning and Zihao's conversation was released online. Han Xiucha was smart enough to only say words like child and stability to another person, allowing others to gossip and spread rumors. Afterwards, he used this to tarnish Tongning's reputation and achieve his goal of disgust. Afterwards, Mo Ting showed his courage as both a manager and a husband and openly discussed the matter online. He made it clear that this was the last time he was going to explain Tongning and Zihao's relationship. They were simply friends. From the way Mo Ting acted at the event and how considerate and caring he was towards Tongning, anyone with eyes could tell that the couple had a deep relationship. Tongning looked into Mo Ting's eyes with sincerity. So if anyone dared to use this incident to stir up trouble, Mo Ting was prepared to take legal action. As for everything that Han Xiucha has done, I hope you keep your promise and kneel down to apologize. At least live like a man. Otherwise, not only would he be a man, he wouldn't even be a human. He would always bully a woman. The media was overjoyed. What happened at the film festival was even more exciting than the film festival itself, because the level of excitement was different. Wherever Tongning went, there would be gossip to write about. Of course, the strength that Mo Ting displayed this time proved that the time Tongning needed to prove her innocence in the past was now over. Now Tongning had to focus on her film and Mo Ting had to shoulder the responsibility of being her manager. So he had to protect Tongning flawlessly. In other words, whoever still wanted to pluck fur from the tiger's mouth, as long as they weren't afraid of death, come forward. The Han brothers were, of course, the most embarrassing existences in the entire film festival. As for Han Xiucha, his IQ was obviously low and he was good at fighting. Han Jie was indeed furious. As soon as he returned home, he slapped Han Xiucha across the face. You promised me that you wouldn't show your face at the film festival, and you definitely wouldn't make a move. Did you know that Mo Ting demanded an explanation from me in front of so many people? Have you ever considered my feelings? Han Xiucha covered his face and glared at Han Jie. There's definitely something wrong with them. That's enough. You rely on your imagination and suspicion to live your life. Don't you know that you're acting like a crazy person to me? Didn't Tongning reject you? That's why your pride was hurt and you started to hate her. No, it's because she's a hypocrite. Don't bother explaining, Han Xiucha. If you want to destroy me, then go ahead and continue, okay? Han Jie said before he slammed the door and left. In reality, Han Xiucha had already seen the comments online. He simply wasn't on guard against Mo Ting. But next time he wouldn't make the same mistake. Next time. He wanted there to be a next time. After returning home, Tongning didn't even bother to take off her shoes as she hugged Mo Ting. Do you know how charming you were today? Does that mean I'm not charming on a normal day? Mo Ting hugged her and took her to check on his 3 babies. They were currently fast asleep. On a normal day, the nutritionist and the 2 mothers would come over to help take care of the babies. If Tongning wasn't around and Mo Ting was busy, they would only leave after confirming that the babies were asleep. Luckily, the 3 siblings were fast asleep. So, Mo Ting carried Tongning into the bedroom and carried her to the bathroom to place her on the washstand. Let me take a look at your foot. It's fine, Tongning smiled. I didn't sprain my ankle. It's just that the heel of my shoe is damaged. I went to Qiao Sen's grave during the day, so I didn't notice because I was too careless. If Long Jie hadn't called in time, how would you have handled the situation tonight? Huh? Mo Ting held onto Tongning's chin and looked into her eyes. Do you know how much my heart ached when you stood on the stage? Everyone was waiting to see you embarrass yourself. What would you have done if I hadn't come? At most, I'd just embarrass myself. After all, you were the one that was embarrassed, Tongning laughed. But seeing Mo Ting's serious expression, she finally replied honestly, I already embarrassed myself at a situation like that. I can't turn back time, but I can still resolve it. How could I be so weak? Tongning isn't a pushover. She wasn't in the past. She isn't now and she will never be. That's enough. Hurry and have a bath. Mo Ting did not force her any further. He knew that Tongning would retaliate. But by that time, he would already be there and there was no way he would watch as his wife was bullied. There's also Han Xiucha's matter that needs to be dealt with. Have you already thought of a solution? Mo Ting asked as he helped Tongning remove her clothes. Aha, Tongning nodded. Since he made use of my fan club, then I can return the favor. I can make use of him by giving him the wrong information and giving him the wrong guidance. After that, I will force him to kneel down and apologize to me. Tongning nodded. After hearing this, Mo Ting gently patted Tongning on the head and kissed her passionately. No one is allowed to bully you. No one. Not in the past and not in the future. What if you bully me? Hearing this question, Mo Ting was a little surprised as he looked at her. Did I bully you? Aren't you bullying me right now? Tongning asked with a deeper meaning. Chapter 1068. Afterwards, it was time for the dress and clothes to fall to the ground. Amidst the yellow lights and smoke, the two were so intimate that they forgot how long the night was. Because they were going to be extremely busy that night. The next day, news from the film festival appeared on the headlines of all the major media outlets. Among them, the most interesting ones weren't just Tongning's fight scenes, but also the fights that took place behind the scenes. For example, during photo shoots, the fight for the center seat. While gossiping, the fight in the bathroom. It was obvious how interesting the film festival was. But no matter how you looked at it, Tongning was the most famous person. This was something that no one could deny. Afterwards, Long Jie grabbed the video of Han Xiuqia spreading the rumors from Luce and watched it over and over again. She really wanted to give the jerk a slap to wake him up. Although the jerk is being scolded, he still refuses to show his face. He's such a coward. After watching the entire video, Tongning said to Long Jie, "Can the president of the fan club please cooperate and announce in the group chat that I'm inviting all members to watch The Ant Queen? Of course, this will have to be arranged during the pre-screening. I'm sure Han Xiuqia will find a way to watch the film in secret. As long as I'm prepared, I'll definitely be able to catch him at the theater." Okay. But the jerk is too thick-skinned, so we need to investigate his background as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will continue to appear in our line of sight and disgust us. Don't worry, Long Jie nodded. Luce and I will act separately. I'm sure we'll have some news soon. That's good. After discussing with Long Jie, Tongning rubbed her eyes tiredly. As soon as Long Jie saw this, she couldn't help but laugh. Even boss doesn't restrain himself? You seem to know a lot, Tongning said as she nudged Long Jie's head. Get some rest. We're about to start our second round of promotions, and the pre-screening is just around the corner. You're about to face a test from the entire film industry. Okay. Tongning leaned back in her seat. She was still having a headache over the incident that the Han brothers mentioned. Although it wasn't difficult for her to clear her name, what if Han Xiuqia didn't play by the rules? If he used this incident to exert pressure elsewhere, she would have to spend more time defending herself and repairing herself. In order not to arouse Han Xiuqia's suspicions, Long Jie waited 2 to 3 days before she told the president to announce the news to the public. Of course, the fans cheered and Han Xiuqia, who had a fan account on his side, saw the news. As for why Tongning arranged this, apart from forcing him to reveal his real identity, she also wanted to attract Han Xiuqia's attention. She wanted him to stop staring at the pre-screening and not think about playing any tricks. Luce had already decided on the invitation list for the pre-screening, and, with Mo Ting's confirmation, sent out invitations. Apart from those that Tongning specifically requested, Mo Ting was in charge of everything else. In reality, at the film festival, the number of people that paid more attention to her than her films. Although the first round of promotions had already exploded, their anticipation for the film was nowhere near as high as their desire to see gossip. After all, it was a sci-fi movie. There were enough domestic scammers who relied on promotional videos to make money. Because film fans were familiar with these tricks, their anticipation for The Ant Queen wasn't as high as expected after the initial shock. Film fans had to admit that Tongning's films made them look forward to them more than a normal film. But that was all. If they wanted to gain recognition, they still needed to show that they were truly convinced of their abilities. After all, if they had heard that Tongning was going to make a film, especially a sci-fi one, they would have laughed, right? Of course, they also wanted to find the answer, but they were also afraid that Tongning would provide them with a plate of chocolate-like shit. They were both excited and nervous at the same time. In short, the pre-screening of The Ant Queen was just around the corner, and the second round of promotions followed closely behind. Mo Ting said that they needed to choose a suitable production company to promote The Ant Queen in all aspects. With Tongning's help, The Ant Queen was naturally popular. So Hairue saved a lot of manpower when it came to promotions. If it were any other artist, they would have had to spend 10 times more effort. But with Tongning, all they had to do was add fuel to the fire, and they could achieve twice the results with half the effort. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. But Han Jie, who was humiliated at the film festival, hated Han Xiuqia for not living up to his expectations. But he was still an adult and had a status in the industry. Yet, he was humiliated in such a way in public. No one would be able to take it lying down. So no matter what, he had to stand up for himself. Didn't Han Xiuqia say that? Tongning's film was going to be a domestically produced film. But in reality, she was using the help of a Hollywood team. With this thought, Han Jie gave his secretary a phone call and asked her to look into the contact details of the best special effects company in the country. Since Tongning was using Hollywood, he was going to need evidence to convict her. So he was going to hire a professional to verify her identity. That would be the best evidence, right? But he was smarter than Han Xiucha. He carefully prepared everything so that he could give Tongning a surprise before the pre-screening. The pre-screening of The Ant Queen was held at one of Beijing's biggest cinemas. It was a hall that could hold up to 100 people. Many influential people from the film industry were present. They were excited, nervous, and of course afraid of being disappointed. After all, Tongning was the one who did it. But up to this point, they had no idea how to confirm Tongning's identity. But the strangest thing was, even those that enjoyed watching films did not underestimate Tongning's intentions. The test screening was scheduled for 3:30 in the afternoon. The audience had already entered the cinema one after another. However, half an hour into the movie, a piece of news immediately attracted a lot of people's attention. According to a professional, Tongning's new film, The Ant Queen, may be using domestically produced special effects, but it's not hard to find traces of a Hollywood team in it. Our reporters immediately interviewed the best special effects artist in the country and asked him to give us an answer. The special effects industry in the country has been developing rapidly in recent years, but from the promotional video for The Ant Queen, we can see traces of foreign techniques. Chapter 1069. In a moment, I will post some comparison photos. Although I know that Tongning wants to create a sci-fi film of our own, I think it's best to be honest. Yet this special effects artist actually accepted an interview with the media and dared to say that Tongning was faking it. I hope her fans don't attack me. I'm simply stating the truth. Afterwards, the reporters turned their cameras back to their faces and gave a summary. As we all know, the pre-screening of The Ant Queen will be taking place this afternoon. Based on the reports from the venue, most of the film festival staff have already arrived. But before the film has even started playing, a scandal has already been revealed that the special effects weren't made in China. So when the people in the audience find out about this, will their mentality change? Let's see what everyone's reaction will be after the pre-screening of The Ant Queen. An explosive piece of news like this naturally spread at a shocking speed. So in just a few minutes, news of Tongning lying had already spread like wildfire. Afterwards, Long Jie immediately relayed the news to Tongning. But as she looked at the hall filled with people and Tongning stood at the back of the hall, she realized it was too late to do anything about it. Even if everyone was biased, it would have to wait until the pre-screening was over before making any further decisions. Where did this trashy special effects artist come from? Is he spouting nonsense again? Tongning, won't it affect the viewing experience? Go out first and get a better understanding of the situation. The pre-screening has already started. Let them watch the film in peace. Tongning pushed Long Jie out of the theater. From the moment she announced her comeback to this day, every single time, she had crawled through a quagmire. She had always been covered in mud. So this time, even if it wasn't too late to do anything about it, she still wanted to see how people would react after watching the film. As expected, Fang Yu and Hu Jingjing were seated in the audience. As soon as he saw Tongning standing at the back, he also stood up and walked to the back to accompany her. I've already seen the news. You believe it too? Where did this special effects artist come from? Does he think he can represent authority? Hu Jingjing laughed. Of course I believe in you. No matter what the result was, Tongning felt everything was worth it with Hu Jingjing's words. What was there to be afraid of? She and her team had put in a lot of effort to come up with this. It wasn't something that could be deviated by a single authoritative person. You should also try to trust the media for once. Let's see which side they stand on this time. You can't always go against them. Tongning understood what Hu Jingjing was trying to say, so she nodded her head and gave Mo Ting a phone call. She told him not to do any PR. After all, the news had already spread. If they removed the trending topic at a time like this, it would raise suspicions. That's the way to be confident. Trust me. After speaking, Hu Jingjing patted Tongning on the shoulder and gestured with her chin. Go ahead. Your seat is at the front. After speaking, Hu Jingjing returned to her seat and focused on the movie on the big screen. Tongning let go of all her distracting thoughts and nervousness. While watching the film, she was reminded of every little detail of her time with Chiao Senator at the same time. His excited and warm smile was constantly reminding her. Don't be afraid, don't retreat. You didn't do anything wrong. Be brave. There were 134 people in the audience at the pre-screening. Among them were authoritative figures in the film industry, sci-fi enthusiasts, fans, film critics, and a few good friends in the industry. While watching the film, almost no one fell asleep. In fact, no one even went to the bathroom. Just like that, 2 hours passed by, although, due to Nzaheo replacing Chiao Sun in post-production, it was obvious that there was a difference in the way the film was shot. But as the cast list appeared on the huge screen and the lights came back on, Tongning noticed most people were still sitting in their seats without getting up. Tongning, someone called out from behind her. She quickly stood up. I trust you. Before Tongning could see who was speaking, a few more people stood up from their seats and said, We trust you too. We trust you too. And us. Gradually, everyone in the theater stood up and expressed their stance. Back then, because of the media's nonsense, we lost a good actor, and you announced your retirement from filming. Today, a year later, the same thing is happening. I'm afraid that if I stand on the wrong side again, I'll lose another good producer. A film critic approached Tongning and extended his hand towards her. Tongning froze for a second before she also extended her hand. I don't know if you've convinced anyone else, but you've convinced me. Thank you. Tongning's eyes turned slightly red. A moment later, the theater erupted into a thunderous applause. You've also convinced me. Me too. At this moment, Tongning turned around and looked at everyone in the theater. She then bowed deeply. Your affirmation means a lot to me. If Chiao Sen's spirit is watching from above, he would be comforted. Because the film is truly worthy of praise. I don't know how others felt about it, but when I first saw the giant termites on the screen, I immediately thought, was this the rumor that the film had borrowed the help of Hollywood's special effects? As I continued to watch, I realized it wasn't. Because I've worked in Hollywood in the past. I've participated in the production of a lot of blockbusters, like Feast of the Baron, and for example, Angela's Secret. So, I'm sure no one has a better say than me. Everyone in the theater was shocked by the film critic's words. In the past, I've always been the one to pick on domestically produced films because I wanted them to improve. So, I'm sorry, even if there wasn't a scandal about you lying, I was still here to complain. But after watching it, I suddenly felt like crying. Because you've made me feel ashamed. We both want films to grow. But I chose to criticize them, while you went ahead and did it. You went from being a model to being an actress. You started from nothing. On the other hand, after spending so many years in Hollywood, I never thought about making my own film because I was afraid. You've made me feel ashamed. Tongning shook her head. You're exaggerating. Chapter 1070. If the public continues to scold you because of this baseless slander, I will be the first to speak up for you. Of course, I will also keep an eye on you. When the film is officially released, I will take my entire family to the theater to watch it. That's all for today. After speaking, the 40-something-year-old man turned to leave. But just as he was about to leave, someone noticed him wiping a tear from his eye. Afterwards, someone ran a background check on him and discovered that this film critic had actually worked in Hollywood for many years and had even appeared on Time magazine. But regardless of everything, the audience at the pre-screening were relieved. Even though they hadn't fully recovered from the film, they at least knew that the Ant Queen did not disappoint them, and that Tongning did not disappoint them. Not long after the film ended, a group of reporters had already gathered at the entrance of the theater, waiting to hear everyone's ridicule towards Tongning. So as soon as a member of the audience stepped out, the media immediately surrounded them. Of course, the film critic that had spoken to Tongning earlier was also stopped by the media. You've already seen the film. Can you comment on Tongning's claim that it's a domestically produced film? She said it's a domestically produced film. What's wrong with that? The man asked. But the top special effects artist in the country has already stepped out to slap Tongning in the face. He's top? Who does he think he is? The man retorted. Tell him, if he dares to say that he's top in front of me, I will answer your question. Are you saying that Tongning didn't lie to the audience? Why would she lie to the audience? Does she lack popularity or the box office? That young lady, as a reporter, please be more positive and give Tongning more positive comments. Don't keep digging for gossip. After speaking, the man walked out of the reporter's sight. The reporters were a little confused by the man's response. At this time, they had no idea who they were interviewing. All they knew was, they originally thought that after watching Tongning's film, they would have a lot to complain about. But from the looks of the interview, that didn't seem to be the case. So, the pre-screening came to an end with the scandal of Tongning lying to the public. But no one stepped out to comment on their feelings towards the film. Was it good or was it shit? Everyone had a secretive look on their faces. Could it be that the movie was really that bad? No. The few lucky fans who watched the movie came out to say, "My Ning is awesome. This is the best sci-fi film I've ever seen." After the movie ended, even a Hollywood film critic praised her. Really, it's so good. My Ning is the best. But in the eyes of the average person, fans had a thick layer of filters. So onlookers assumed that there were elements of exaggeration involved, and that Hollywood and film critics were just exaggerating. Who would believe the words of a fan? He was willing to die for his idol. Naturally, no one would believe him. That's enough, Tongning will eat shit. Her fans will say it's good. This bragging is a little too much. It makes people feel very frivolous. I don't think there's anything to see. Besides, didn't they say that the Hollywood team would handle the post-production? If that's the case, why don't I watch a real Hollywood movie? On the internet, many people expressed their ridicule towards the fans, causing them to vomit blood in anger. But not long after, the first review of The Ant Queen was posted online. It turned out, it wasn't that people didn't have any reaction. It was that they had to wait for time. Otherwise, they would feel that they were letting down Tongning's hard work and how amazing the film was. I admit that The Ant Queen is the best domestic sci-fi film. If you're not convinced, then hold it in. Why did you only post it a few hours later? That's because I felt that I wasn't sincere enough and that I was letting down the people behind the scenes, especially director Chiao Sun, who passed away because of it. So after returning home, I sat in front of my computer in a daze. I'm sure most people that watched the film felt the same way as me. Before watching The Ant Queen, I was already very nervous. Then, with the scandal of Tongning lying to the public and the fact that she used Hollywood to create special effects, I thought to myself, it's over. But after watching it, I slapped myself in the face. That's because I hated myself. When I heard that an actress was involved in a film, the first thing that came to my mind was to ridicule her. Reality has proven that Tongning is indeed the best in the industry when it comes to face slapping. I would like to formally apologize to her and sincerely ask the media to stop spreading rumors about Tongning's special effects. I would also like to ask the self-proclaimed special effects artist to return to his planet. I don't want to see him anymore. That's just something that I've said. Next up, let's get into The Ant Queen. What I want to tell you is what I found so amazing about this film. Following on the second review, the third review, that was until the film critic that once worked for Hollywood revealed his opinion. No, he didn't use words, he used a video. As soon as this man appeared on screen, everyone could see the bookshelf behind him. It was filled with classic foreign films, and some of them were films that he had participated in. It was because of this video that the media discovered that this hidden expert had already been interviewed the previous night. The main reason I recorded this video is to tell everyone that The Ant Queen's post-production did not involve Hollywood. How can I be so certain? It's because I've worked in Hollywood before. Also, as soon as I returned home, I called a friend in the US to confirm that Tongning did indeed take a team to the US. But they did their own research and did not use any Hollywood team or technology. I don't know how the self-proclaimed special effects artist was able to tell that the Ant Queen was fake. Perhaps he has a pair of eyes that can see through everything. But I can confidently tell everyone that the Ant Queen is 100% domestically produced and has no problems at all. The reason I'm clarifying here is so that everyone can look at this film without prejudice. If you have the contact details of the special effects artist for our domestically produced sci-fi film, The Ant Queen, please let me know. I will personally speak to him. Lastly, don't ask me stupid questions like whether The Ant Queen is good. Chapter 1071. The more serious Tongning is about acting, the more serious she is about making a film. She managed to win over a sci-fi fan like me, so I'm sure she won't disappoint you. These are all the heartfelt words that I want to say after watching the movie. Oh, by the way, I remember now. Previously, a fan mentioned that a Hollywood critic praised Tongning during the pre-screening. If it's true, it was me. It turned out, the seemingly exaggerated fan's words were actually true. Everyone's eyes popped out of their sockets. Afterwards, the video was reposted online like crazy and of course, the Ant Queen's reputation was also established. Of course, with these kinds of reviews and promotions, the self-proclaimed top special effects artist had no choice but to hide. In fact, he even wanted to erase the stupid words he said. He had to admit that he accepted Han Jie's money to ride on the hype. But it seemed he had lifted a rock and smashed it on his own foot. Top in the country was actually an exaggeration. After the pre-screening ended, the response was huge. The Ant Queen had indeed received good reviews. With this wave of testing the waters, film fans were now waiting for the film to be released as soon as possible. Previously, I was afraid that the film would look terrible. But now that an internet celebrity and a professional critic have stepped out to praise the film, I've changed my mind. I want to see how good the film is. I heard that the special effects are exciting and the scenes are exciting. The entire film is so exciting that it can fly. I want to see the transparent body of a termite. It said that it's as big as a screen. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Hurry up and release the film. Amidst the anticipation of the film fans, Tongning finally saw hope for the Ant Queen. At this moment, she felt like crying. If Qiao Sun was still around and could see this, how happy would he be? Because of this, Tongning decided to give Qiao Sen's daughter a ticket to the film. She wanted to tell her that she had fulfilled Qiao Sen's wish and dream. The Ant Queen was about to be released. But after the pre-screening, Mo Ting began to investigate where the so-called top special effects artist came from, who gave him the courage to expose Tongning's lies at such a delicate time. President, according to our investigation, quite a few people have approached this special effects artist recently. But one of them is the most suspicious. Lu Che explained to Mo Ting. Han Jie. He must be angry at you for not showing him any mercy at the film festival. Or perhaps he is trying to get revenge for his brother. Either way, he is definitely related to the madam's incident. Lu Che replied respectfully. Should we think of a way? Send word to the people in the industry to suppress them. Make sure they can't take care of themselves first before they find a way to deal with them. Mo Ting said coldly. What's the other document in your hands? Madam asked little Manny to investigate the background of the two brothers. I have some clues and am going to send them to her. Lu Che replied. Send it over as soon as possible. These two brothers were both asking for a beating. In that case, they could not blame others for deliberately dealing with them. Indeed, after the pre-screening, Tongning had already decided to expose Han Xiuqia in broad daylight. If she didn't deal with this shady man as soon as possible, he would continue to cause trouble in the future. Afterwards, Tongning received the information on the two brothers. Lu Che put in a lot of effort to get his hands on this. No wonder. The waters are so deep. Of course, the two brothers wouldn't want others to see them. Their mother cheated on them with more than one man. That's why she divorced the brothers' father and left them to their father to raise. Perhaps because of this, the two brothers have a deep misunderstanding of women. This explains why Han Xiuqia always thinks you are a hypocrite. Now that we know the background of these two jerks, what do you plan to do? I'm going to get him to come out and apologize first. He can go on endlessly since the incident at Superstar Media, but I can't. I don't want to waste my time on a piece of trash, Tongning replied. So we'll stick to our original plan. In 2 days, we'll deal with the matter. When the time comes, are you going to go personally? Long Jie asked. In reality, she was hoping that Tongning would show up. After all, Han Xiucha had been causing trouble for her for a long time. Of course I'm going. I have something to ask him. Tongning lifted her eyes with a cold gaze. At this time, Tongning had no idea that the so-called special effects artist was actually the work of the two brothers. Afterwards, it wasn't until she heard the entire story from Mo Ting that she realized that even Han Jie had been implicated by Han Xiucha. She couldn't allow the two brothers to continue leading her around like a hooligan. Apart from finding a way to defeat them psychologically, she had no other choice. After all, she couldn't kill them. So Tongning thought of information on the two brothers' mother. Afterwards, she gave Long Jie a phone call. Can you find the mother of the two brothers? What do you want? I want to treat the two brothers. If I continue to suppress them, they will only continue to retaliate. Especially Han Xiucha. He doesn't care about his image in front of the public. Even if I lose my reputation, I don't think I can stop him. So while we're trying to find him, we also need to find their mother. Okay, Long Jie nodded her head, and immediately began to look for clues on the two brothers' mother. The Ant Queen's trailer had been released, the pre-screening had been released, and the official release date was about to be confirmed. But Han Xiucha still refused to let it go. Although she no longer had anything to slander, she was afraid that Han Xiucha would continue to target the people around her. So, the root of everything still lay with Han Xiucha's mother. Long Jie knew that it was urgent to deal with the two brothers, so she immediately looked into the woman's background. In the end, she found some reliable information. The woman with the surname Su was also in the industry, but she never showed her face in public. She was currently a voice actress that worked behind the scenes for television dramas. But after being in the industry for so long, Long Jie had never heard of this person. She originally thought that the two brothers hated this woman so much that they wouldn't let her off so easily. So how was she able to survive in the industry? Chapter 1072. Long Jie relayed the results of her investigation to Tongning and expressed her curiosity. I don't understand the two brothers. If they don't provoke their cheating mother, why do they keep harping on you? In that case, let's go meet the dubber. Perhaps there's something else they're hiding. Tongning replied. Go make the arrangements. I want to meet the dubber. Okay, I'll do my best, Long Jie nodded. A mother cheating on two men, and being caught in the act by her father was nothing more than a scandal in the entertainment industry. After all, it wasn't the Han family's first day in the industry. Afterwards, the Han brothers' father remarried to his secretary, and never had another child. As for their mother, there was no news of her. Because of his mother, Han Xiucha's personality was flawed. So Tongning was the unlucky one that happened to bump into Han Xiucha's gun. Now that she thought about it, she felt quite wronged. What was even stranger was the fact that when Long Jie tried to meet someone, she couldn't get them. How could there be someone in the entertainment industry that Tongning couldn't invite? Perhaps the dubber knew that there was a grudge between Tongning and her son? Mo Ting realized that he had failed to contact the dubber, so he revealed a secret to Tongning. The reason why she doesn't want to see you has nothing to do with the two brothers. She simply wants to avoid arousing suspicion. It's that simple. How do you know all this? The information in Long Jie's hands was compiled by Lu Che. I asked him to investigate a lot of insider information, Mo Ting said as he handed the information to Tongning. This woman, after divorcing the father of the two brothers, has been with this man for 20 years. She doesn't even ask for an official title. Right now, the last thing she wants is to have anything to do with the two brothers. I'm guessing the reason why Han Xiucha wants to blow things up to this extent is because he wants to attract this woman's attention. Who's her current man? International martial arts superstar Long Qingyan. How could it be him? He was a senior in the industry. How could she not know him? However, she had never thought that there would be such a complicated relationship between the two of them. So she was a bit presumptuous when she asked Long Jie to invite someone. It was true that she had some misgivings since the others did not come. But was she going to continue to be entangled with the two brothers? Seeing Tangning's helpless expression, Ting patted her on the head and smiled. What? Are you scared? Are there things that you're afraid of? I'm just annoyed. Tangning leaned against Ting with a tired expression. If you ask Jie to invite an international kung fu superstar, would they even respond? Of course not. So the person you should look for is me, not Jie. If I appear, even if the other party is unwilling, they will at least give me some face. You definitely did it on purpose. Ting smiled dotingly as he stood up from the sofa and returned to the study room. In fact, this kung fu superstar, who was nearly 60 years old, might not get what he wanted even if he personally went to invite him. So Tangning had no idea how many phone calls Ting had made that night. Before he left the house that morning, he reminded, "Remember to turn off your phone today." What happened? All of a sudden, Tangning didn't understand what Ting meant. That was until she received a phone call from an unknown number. "Hello, this is Suyu. I heard you wanted to see me." "Hello, senior. Is it convenient for you? Your husband called my husband 67 times in one night. I don't think I have any reason to reject him," the woman said before she arranged a time and place to meet Tangning. Afterwards, Tangning told Jie not to rush into finding out about Han Xiuqi's matter. Everything would be decided after they met with the voice actor. The meeting was set for 8 p.m. at a hotel near the television station Suyu was working at. Accompanying her was her little assistant, who looked very obedient and well-behaved. Tangning did not ask Ting to follow her. She only brought Jie with her. She felt this was a conversation between women, and it would be inconvenient for a man to be present. This was Tangning's first time seeing Suyu. Upon closer inspection, Suyu noticed that there was something wrong with the way she walked. Seeing Tangning's gaze, Suyu understood what she was confused about, so she replied, "I was beaten up many years ago." "Sorry, senior." Suyu smiled. Although she was old without any makeup, she still had a charming elegance to her. Especially her eyes. How could Tangning believe that a woman like this would cheat on her husband? Suyu was skinny, but she was charming. Although she didn't dress up, she must have put a lot of effort into maintaining her appearance. There's nothing to be sorry about. After all, you're not the first person to be curious. Let's get back to the point. I've seen you on the news before, so I'm not curious as to why you came looking for me. But I really can't help you. After hearing this, Tangning took a deep breath. "Senior Su, we're both women and it's not easy for us. I understand, but I really want to know if there's a way to make the two brothers stop. I can defeat them, but I don't want to waste my time on meaningless things. I can't possibly kill them. That's why I took the liberty of contacting you." "I understand," Suyu nodded her head, but she added a sentence with a deeper meaning. "You're indeed his son." "Senior, I really can't help you. But I can tell you why," Suyu explained. 20 years ago, I was living with Han Yufan. I took care of my two sons without any regrets. But I discovered he was cheating on me with his secretary. At that time I was weak. Han Yufan threatened me that if I dared to expose this matter he would destroy my reputation. I was too stupid, so I endured their humiliation. But Han Yufan refused to get a divorce, so the secretary became anxious. In order to climb up the ladder, she set up 2 men to humiliate me. Han Yufan even found out and accused me of cheating. It was at that time that Han Yufan broke my leg. At the time, my eldest son was hiding behind the door. I asked him to call for help, but he ran over to my secretary and hugged her, screaming in fear. That is a scene I will never forget. So, I really don't want to have anything to do with the 2 brothers. Tangning, I've looked into your past and I know what kind of person you are. So, I'm not afraid that you'll laugh at me for telling you this." After hearing this simple story, Tangning was reminded of the things that Han Yufan and Mo Yuro had done to her in the past. "I won't laugh at you and I won't disturb you again. I'm sorry, senior. I will resolve my grudge with the 2 brothers on my own. But I really don't want you to get involved again," Tangning replied. "After all, I've been through the same thing before." Chapter 1073. After hearing Tongning's words, Suyu laughed. I really can't help you. Tongning shook her head in relief. She indeed wanted to get rid of the two brothers, but she wouldn't stoop so low as to take advantage of someone else's wound. She herself had been stepped on, so she naturally understood Suyu's pain. On the way home, Longjie couldn't help but ask, do you believe Suyu's words? Back then, a lot of people knew that she was caught in bed with another man. Tongning did not respond. Plus, why was she willing to reveal something so private to you after meeting you for the first time? Because she didn't want me to look for her again, Tongning replied. I didn't just believe her words out of thin air. But based on the information that you and Ting have given me, I believe Suyu's words more. You know better than I do what the Han brothers are like. Don't you think that as a father he shouldn't take responsibility for a son like that? But just to be on the safe side, you should investigate this matter. If the father and son really did something like that to Suyu, then the Han brothers would have ended up worse than Han Yufan. They are indeed both Han brothers. In some ways, they are surprisingly similar. After hearing Tongning's instructions, Longjie nodded her head. Don't worry, I will investigate this matter as soon as possible. In that case, should we continue with the matter of Han Xiuqia? Of course. This is a promise that we made. Tongning never broke her promise. This was her bottom line. After returning home, Tongning recounted her conversation with Suyu to Mo Ting. She couldn't help but sigh. Once a woman marries the devil, her life is destroyed. Mo Ting knew this brought back bad memories, so he reached out his hand and gently stroked her back. But there aren't many women like you who would stand up and fight back. Because I've never felt that I'm worse than a man, Tongning replied. In my heart, you are stronger than anyone else. These were Mo Ting's honest words. Apart from Tongning, he had never seen another woman that could remain calm and not break down in the face of a crisis. In fact, she could even be described as calm. So, when it comes to dealing with the two brothers, do what you need to do. Do you think a small agency can beat Hai Rui? They should be dragged out to apologize. He should be dragged out to kneel. Don't let any of them go. After hearing Mo Ting's words, Tongning rubbed her head against his palm. This man gave her a sense of security and courage. Okay, Tongning nodded. How obedient. So when it came to Han Xiuqia, Tongning had no intention of backing down. Now that the Ant Queen was about to be released, what else could Han Xiuqia do? What else do you want to change? The next day, Longjie spent an entire day investigating. In the end, she concluded that at least 80% of what Suyu said was true. Especially Father Han's current wife, who used to be his secretary. She was the biggest problem, and left the most clues. According to the woman's previous address, I asked the neighbors around her. Some people even remembered that there used to be a man who drove a Bentley and often drove her home. Once the car was hit and the car was shaken. I also found out that Father Han used to drive a Bentley. At the same time, I've also looked into Suyu's character. She abides by the rules of a woman, and is indeed gentle and dutiful. So what Suyu said was the truth. The father and son trio didn't just become so disgusting. They've been disgusting from the beginning. After hearing Longjie's words, Tongning had already come to a conclusion. You must be tired. Go home and get some rest. As for arranging a film for the fans, it's about time. Let's drag Han Xiuqia out and make him kneel before us. Okay, Longjie nodded. Tongning, of course, couldn't care less about the millions of unfair things that happened in this world. But the two brothers had already offended her for too long. Han Xiuqia had no idea that it was a trap. All he knew was that Tongning had invited fans to watch a film, so he, of course, decided to watch the film that was known as a masterpiece. Meanwhile, inside the theater, Longjie and the theater manager deliberately arranged for a screening near the entrance. They wanted Han Xiuqia to be immediately blocked outside as soon as he appeared. If he didn't know that his mother was being framed, it wouldn't be a big deal. But when he knew, he still hated women to the core. This meant that evil was in his genes. Did he look down on women? This time he was going to kneel before them. Meanwhile, after Tongning came looking for her, Suyu tried to find out more about the grudge between Tongning and Han Xiuqia. After understanding the situation, she felt a deep sense of guilt. Old Long, this woman is obviously shouldering my pain. She's still young. Let her shoulder it. Didn't she say that she doesn't blame you? But those two people came from my stomach. If it was anyone else, it wouldn't be a big deal. But Tungning's situation is similar to mine, yet she managed to live her own life. I admire her, but I also feel guilty. After all, she is the mother of 3 children. I can't eat or sleep well. So I want to help her, Suyu said to her husband. Old Long, after all these years apart from you, she's the only one that's been willing to understand my pain. In that case, how do you want to help? The man, who was called Old Dragon, took a blanket from the room and put it on his wife's body. Are you going to open your wound again? Because I lost my innocence and reputation. You've been scolded badly all these years, Suyu said as she leaned back in her chair. Suyu leaned back in her chair and said to her husband, "That's why I insisted that you not announce your marriage. Even if people say I'm your mistress, I don't want you to be judged behind your back. The last thing I want is to see you get hurt. So, why don't we get Tongning to prove my innocence? I've seen the news and know that she once founded Superstar Media and helped a lot of artists that are past their prime. If that's what you want to do, I will support you. But if you feel that the pain is too much for you to bear, then give up. Don't forget, your husband is still an international martial arts superstar." Even though he was old, he was still respected and his words still carried weight. "Since you've agreed, I'm going to look for that woman again. Back then, I couldn't explain myself and ended up crippling my right leg. Now I've even implicated an innocent person. I can't continue to hold on to the truth and hide it any longer. I want to stand out and speak up." That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.